He got cut in half. His skull got caved in. He got bisected by a Sanin. A goddess tried to erase him from existence. Every single time, he just stood up and grinned. He's not a loud, lovable loser chasing a dream. He's a 1,000-year-old immortal who genuinely thinks getting stabbed through the chest is a 5 out of 10. Konoha never stood a damn chance. Neither did the rest of the world.
The katana went through his chest. 6 inches of steel, straight through the sternum, punching out through his spine and catching moonlight on the bloody tip. A full thrust from a chunin who meant it. The kind of blow that kills grown men before they feel it. The boy was 6 years old. He stood in the alley behind the red light district of Konohagakure, barefoot, wearing a 2 big white shirts splattered with his own blood. 3 civilians stood behind the chunin with bats and broken bottles. The mob had chased him for 11 blocks. They cornered him here, between a dumpster and a wall covered in graffiti that said demon in red paint. The chunin twisted the blade. The boy looked down at the steel sticking out of his chest. He watched his own blood run down the fuller groove of the katana, pooling on the dirt between his feet. His small hand came up and wrapped around the blade where it entered his body. Then he looked up, and he grinned. It was the kind of grin that had ended conversations in taverns 1,000 years ago. The kind that made knights drop their swords and run. Wide, lazy, showing too many teeth, and completely, utterly unbothered by the sword currently occupying the space where his heart should be. That, the boy said, his voice light and sing-song, almost bored, kind of tickled. He pulled the blade out of his own chest. One smooth motion. The steel scraped against bone, and the sound made one of the civilians vomit on the spot. Blood gushed for exactly 1 second. Then the wound sealed. Skin knitted together like it was being rewound. Muscle reconnected, bone fused. In the time it took the chunin to stumble backward, the hole in the boy's chest simply ceased to exist. The boy held the bloody katana loosely in one hand. He looked at it, looked at the chunin. "You know what's funny?" he said. He took a step forward. "I actually felt that one. First time in a while, so thanks for that." The chunin reached for a kunai. His hands were shaking. But here's the thing. The boy's crimson eyes locked onto the chunin's face. Something ancient moved behind those eyes. Something that had lived and killed and sinned for lifetimes beyond count. "You used a sword on me. That means you were trying to kill me. And where I come from." He reached out. His hand moved faster than anyone in that alley could track. His fingers didn't grab the chunin's vest or his throat or his arm. They passed through his chest like it was water. Physical hunt. The boy's hand came back out, holding something red and wet and still beating. The chunin looked down at the hole in his own chest. He looked at the boy's hand. He looked at his own heart, squeezing weakly between small, blood-soaked fingers. The boy crushed it. The chunin dropped, dead before his knees hit the ground. Naruto Uzumaki, 6 years old, barefoot, soaked in blood that was half his and half someone else's, turned to face the 3 remaining civilians. The heart pulp dripped from his fingers. He tilted his head. Anyone else? They ran. They ran so fast, one of them left a shoe behind. They ran, and they told everyone they knew. And the people they told went pale, and told everyone they knew. And by morning, the story had spread through every back alley bar and underground den in the village. The demon brat couldn't die. He'd pulled a sword out of his own chest and smiled. He'd ripped a man's heart out with his bare hand. From that day forward, the underworld of Konoha whispered a new name, the Undead Fox. And the Undead Fox was 6 years old and probably stealing your lunch right now. Here's the thing about Naruto Uzumaki that nobody in Konoha could wrap their heads around. He was old. He looked 6, then 8, then 10, then 12. His body grew the way bodies do, but behind those crimson eyes was a soul that had already watched civilizations rise, party, and crumble to dust. He remembered everything, every drink, every fight, every sin. His name had been banned. The fox's sin of greed. He'd drunk from the fountain of youth and become something that couldn't die. He'd fought demons that made tailed beasts look like house cats. He'd loved a woman named Elaine so fiercely that he'd walked through purgatory itself to find her, and the memory of her still burned inside him like a coal that refused to go cold. and then he died. Or whatever you call it when an immortal finally lays down. And then he woke up as a screaming baby in a village full of ninjas with a giant fox sealed in his gut and a whole new world to be entertained by. Ban Naruto, whatever you wanted to call him, took about 3 years to sort out the memories. By age 4, he knew exactly what he was. By age 5, he'd mapped every food stall, sock den, and escape route in the village. By age 6, he killed a man who put a sword through his chest and felt nothing about it, except mild annoyance that his favorite shirt was ruined. He grew fast after that. The immortality from the fountain of youth lived in every cell of his body. It burned through the malnutrition the village tried to impose on him by simply refusing to sell him food. It didn't matter. He stole everything he needed and then some. Snatch, the ability to steal anything. Physical objects, speed, strength, the food right off your plate while you were looking at it. Naruto refined it to an art form in Konoha because Konoha was full of things worth stealing and people too slow to stop him. By 10, he'd raided every restaurant in the village at least twice. By 11, Anbu had a dedicated file on the phantom thief who kept breaking into the Akimichi clan's private pantry. They never connected it to the blonde kid in the red leather jacket who smelled faintly of sake and spent his afternoons sleeping on rooftops. Because that was the other thing. Somewhere around age 9, Naruto had gotten his hands on a red leather jacket. Open-chested, fitted, ridiculous on a child, and absolutely perfect on him. He wore it like a uniform. He wore it like a declaration of war against the concept of subtlety. Combined with his crimson eyes, his wild blonde hair, and the kind of lazy confidence that made Jonin uncomfortable, he looked less like an orphan and more like a crime boss on a lunch break. By 12, he stood 5'8". Dense muscle wrapped around a frame that moved like liquid. The centuries of combat memory living inside him had shaped his body into something that shouldn't exist on a preteen. Broad shoulders, corded forearms, a lean waist that spoke of 1,000 battles fought and won while barely trying. The village kids his age came up to his chest, and he was going to the academy. God help the academy. Iruka Umino was a patient man. He taught dozens of children. He'd survived a demon fox attack. He'd handled class clowns, prodigies, and everything in between. Naruto Uzumaki broke him inside of a week. The first day, Naruto walked into class 40 minutes late, wearing his red jacket over the standard uniform, which he'd apparently stolen from Sasuke's locker because it had the Uchiha crest on the back, and the entire class saw Sasuke's eye twitch and sat in the back row. He put his feet up on the desk, leaned back, and closed his eyes. Naruto, Iruka said carefully, "You're late." "Yep, you're wearing another student's uniform. Looks better on me." Sasuke's pencil snapped in half. "And is that sake?" "Naruto, you're 12. 12 this time around." He took a sip from a ceramic bottle that he'd pulled from somewhere inside the jacket. "Relax, Iruka-sensei. I'm here to learn." He failed the first graduation exam on purpose. Iruka could tell because Naruto answered every written question with technically correct answers written in a handwriting style that looked like it belonged to a medieval tavern ledger. For the practical portion, he performed a transformation jutsu so flawless that it turned him into an exact replica of the third Hokage, complete with pipe smoke that was somehow real, and then immediately canceled it and said, "Nah, I don't feel like passing today." Iruka's left eye twitched for the rest of the afternoon. The second attempt, Naruto showed up drunk, or at least acting drunk. With Naruto, it was impossible to tell. He passed every physical test with such absurd ease that Mizuki, who was assisting, went visibly pale. The clone jutsu section arrived, and Naruto produced a single clone that was somehow more solid and detailed than the original, then made both versions of himself shrug in unison. "Happy now?" both Narutos said. Iruka passed him out of self-preservation. The night before team assignments, the scroll of sealing went missing. The entire village mobilized. Anbu swept every district. Jonin scattered to the borders. They found Naruto sitting on the head of the fourth Hokage's stone face, cross-legged, reading the scroll like a magazine. "Oh, this?" He looked up at the 12 Anbu surrounding him. "I was bored. Did you guys know there's a jutsu in here that summons a literal death god? That's wild. Who writes this stuff?" Iruka arrived, out of breath, terrified. Naruto, do you have any idea what you've done? Stole a scroll. He rolled it up and tossed it to Iruka. Already memorized the good parts. The security in this village is honestly kind of embarrassing. Sensei, I got past 2 seal barriers and a bloodlock using a chopstick and a piece of string. Iruka caught the scroll. His hands were shaking. From anger, from relief, from the slow and dawning realization that this kid was something beyond his pay grade. Why? Iruka managed. Naruto grinned. The moonlight caught his crimson eyes, and for a half second Iruka saw something behind that grin. Something vast, something ancient, something that found this entire situation deeply, profoundly amusing. Because I could. Mizuki chose this exact moment to make his move. The traitor dropped from the trees, giant shuriken spinning, screaming about the demon fox. You're the 9-tailed fox, Naruto! The monster that killed Iruka's parents! The whole village hates you! You're boring, Naruto said. Snatch. Mizuki's muscles locked. His strength left his body like air from a pop balloon. He hit the ground face first, giant shuriken clanging uselessly beside him, unable to lift his own arms. He lay there gasping like a fish. Naruto stood over him. He hadn't moved from his sitting position. He'd performed the snatch with one hand while still leaning on the other. You really thought that speech was going to do something, huh? Naruto yawned. The fox thing? I already knew. The village hating me? Already knew that too. You being a traitor? He tapped his temple. I could smell the desperation on you since orientation day. You stink of it. He looked at Iruka, who was staring at the paralyzed Mizuki with an expression that mixed horror and something uncomfortably close to satisfaction. Hey, Sensei, can I go home now? I've got leftover ramen calling my name. Iruka, for reasons he would never fully understand, started laughing. Team assignments happened the next morning. Naruto was placed on Team 7 with Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno under the command of Kakashi Hatake. Sasuke had spent the entirety of their academy time trying to figure out Naruto Uzumaki. The Uchiha prodigy, last of his clan, driven by vengeance, top of every class, could handle rivals. He could handle threats. What he couldn't handle was someone who seemed to exist outside the entire framework of competition. Naruto didn't compete with Sasuke. He didn't even acknowledge the rivalry Sasuke was trying to build. Every time Sasuke outperformed the class, he'd glance at the back row and find Naruto asleep or reading or making a tower out of stolen erasers. And every time they had a sparring match, Naruto would dodge everything Sasuke threw with his hands in his pockets, grinning that infuriating grin, and then forfeit because winning this takes more energy than it's worth. It drove Sasuke insane because he knew, he could feel it in his gut, that the blonde idiot in the red jacket was stronger than him, stronger than everyone in the room, and he just didn't care. Sakura Haruno's initial reaction to Naruto had been the same as her reaction to most things that weren't Sasuke: dismissal. Then she saw him casually rip a training dummy in half with one hand during a strength test, and her brain reclassified him from annoying blonde kid to potential existential threat. She kept her distance after that. She watched him from the corner of her eye the way you watch a large animal at the zoo, fascinated, wary, and deeply glad there's a barrier between you. There was a barrier, wasn't there? Kakashi Hatake showed up 3 hours late to their first team meeting. He walked onto Training Ground 7 with his book, his mask, and his signature unbothered attitude. Naruto was sitting on a tree branch above the training posts. He had a bottle of sake balanced on his knee and was staring at the clouds with the peaceful expression of a man who had already achieved everything he wanted from life and was just running out the clock. Yo, Kakashi said. Sorry I'm late. A black cat crossed my... You're late, Mask-san. Kakashi looked up. He studied the blonde kid on the branch. Something about the posture set off alarm bells in the back of his mind. The way the boy was sitting, the distribution of weight, the relaxed but ready line of his shoulders. That was a fighter's rest stance. That was someone who could go from lounging to lethal in under a second. You must be Naruto. The one and only. Naruto hopped down from the branch, landing without a sound despite his height and build. The sake bottle stayed balanced on the back of his hand. So what's the test? I heard you fail every team that comes through. Kakashi's visible eye narrowed slightly. That was classified information. How did this kid... 2 bells, Kakashi said, holding them up. Come at me with killing intent or you'll never get them. Killing intent. Naruto's grin widened. Be careful what you wish for. Sakura and Sasuke took positions. Sasuke dropped into the Uchiha Interceptor stance. Sakura readied herself behind a tree. Standard tactical positioning, textbook academy responses. Naruto put his hands in his pockets and walked toward Kakashi like he was strolling through a market. Kakashi decided to test him. He moved, Jonin speed, a blur to Genin eyes, and went for a headlock. A simple restraint to establish dominance and show the kids the gap between them and a real shinobi. His arm wrapped around Naruto's neck. Naruto smiled. Physical hunt. Kakashi's world turned upside down. It started in his arm, the one around Naruto's neck. The muscles simply stopped working. The strength drained out of it like water through a sieve. Then it spread. His legs, his core, his chest. Every muscle in Kakashi Harake's body went from peak Jonin conditioning to absolute zero in the span of a single heartbeat. He dropped. Kakashi, the copy ninja, the man who'd fought S-rank criminals, who'd survived the Third Shinobi War as a teenager, who'd stared down enemies that would make most Jonin flee, hit his knees. His arms hung at his sides like wet rope. His Sharingan eye, hidden beneath the headband, couldn't help him because this wasn't a jutsu. This wasn't genjutsu. This was something the Sharingan had never seen and couldn't copy. His strength had been stolen, ripped directly from his muscles by the hand of a 12-year-old. Naruto looked down at the kneeling Jonin. He tilted his head with that same lazy grin. Huh, you're actually pretty strong, Mask-san. I can feel it. He flexed his fingers. The stolen strength flowed through him, and for a moment his forearms corded with visible new density. Well, we're pretty strong. Kakashi tried to speak. His jaw barely cooperated. What did you... Took your strength. The physical kind. All of it. Naruto bent down and plucked both bells off Kakashi's waist. The tiny jingle they made was the loudest sound on the training field. You said come at you with killing intent. I came at you with something worse. He straightened up and tossed one bell to Sasuke without looking. The Uchiha caught it on reflex, staring at it like it might explode. Heads up, Pinky. The second bell sailed toward Sakura, who fumbled it twice before catching it against her chest. Naruto looked back at Kakashi. I'd give your strength back, but I think I'll hold on to it for a bit. Consider it rent for making us wait 3 hours. He walked back to his tree, hopped onto the branch, and picked up his sake bottle like he'd just come back from a bathroom break. Instead of single-handedly dismantling an elite Jonin, Sasuke stared at the bell in his hand, then at Naruto, then at Kakashi, who was still on his knees, visibly trying to command muscles that refused to listen. What are you? Sasuke said. His voice was steady, but his fingers were white-knuckled around the bell. Naruto took a sip of sake, hungry mostly. Sakura's legs were shaking. She'd watched Kakashi-sensei, a Jonin, a legend, a man with a reputation that made grown shinobi nervous, get dropped to his knees by a touch. A single touch. Her inner voice was screaming at a pitch only dogs should hear. Kakashi's mind was racing at a speed his body couldn't match. He ran through every technique in his mental database. Chakra absorption jutsu existed, sure, but this wasn't chakra absorption. This was physical theft. His actual muscular strength had been removed from his body, like someone had reached in and unscrewed it. He'd fought the Seven Swordsmen. He'd survived encounters with Itachi Uchiha. He had never experienced true helplessness until a 12-year-old put his hand on his neck and turned him into a civilian. Team 7, Kakashi said, his voice strained, passes. Obviously, Naruto called down from the branch. It took Kakashi 4 hours to get his strength back. It returned slowly, in waves, like blood flowing back to a limb that had been sat on too long. He sat against a training post the entire time, reading his book and pretending that was a choice. His report to the Hokage that evening was 3 words long. Watch this one. The third Hokage looked at the report. He looked at the file on his desk, the one with Uzumaki Naruto on the tab and a thickness usually reserved for A-rank threats. He took a long drag of his pipe. I've been watching him for 12 years, Kakashi. It hasn't helped. The weeks between the bell test and their first real mission blurred together in a haze of D-rank assignments that Naruto turned into performance art. The cat retrieval mission. Naruto caught Tora in 8 seconds by using Snatch to steal the cat's speed. The feline went from a panicked blur to a confused, stationary lump of fur. He carried it back by the scruff like a hunter returning with game. The Fire Lord's wife was thrilled. The cat was traumatized for a different reason than usual. The fence painting mission finished in 3 minutes because Naruto convinced a team of shadow clones, which he'd picked up from the scroll of sealing because of course he had, to do it while he napped against the fence. The clones painted a mural of a man in a red jacket holding a cup of ale. Because apparently even his clones had his personality. The garden weeding mission. Naruto ripped an entire garden's worth of weeds out of the ground with one hand, replanted the flowers in a better arrangement, and stole the client's lunch on the way out. The client didn't notice the lunch was gone until dinner. Sasuke seethed through all of it. Every mission was supposed to be a chance to prove himself, to build toward his goal, to measure himself against his team. Instead, every mission turned into the Naruto show. The blonde walking through problems like they were made of paper, grinning, humming, and making the entire concept of effort look like a joke. "Fight me," Sasuke said one afternoon, blocking Naruto's path back to the village. Naruto looked at him, crimson eyes half-lidded. "Why?" "Because I need to know where I stand." "You stand right there." Naruto pointed at Sasuke's feet. "Behind me." The Uchiha's jaw clenched hard enough to crack teeth. "Fight me." Naruto studied him for a long moment. Something shifted behind those red eyes. Maybe amusement, maybe pity, maybe something older and more complicated. "Tell you what, Sasuke," he leaned in. "When you find a reason to fight that isn't about some guy who already beat you, come find me. Until then..." He sidestepped and kept walking. "You're boring." Sasuke stood there. His fists trembled at his sides. Sakura, who'd watched the exchange from a distance, felt something cold settle in her stomach. She'd seen Sasuke angry before. This was different. This was the look of a man staring at a wall he couldn't climb and realizing the wall didn't even know he was there. The mission to the Land of Waves changed everything. It started boring. Escort mission, protect the bridge builder, C rank, the kind of thing that would give Jainin some road experience without real danger. Tazuna, the bridge builder, was a drunk who smelled like fish and cheap wine. Naruto liked him immediately. "You and me, old man," Naruto said, walking beside Tazuna with matching strides. "We understand that alcohol is life's greatest jutsu." "Finally," Tazuna said, "someone who gets it." Kakashi watched this exchange and wondered if he'd somehow drawn the short straw in a cosmic lottery. The Demon Brothers attacked first. 2 Chunin-level rogues burst from a puddle on the road, their chain-linked gauntlets spinning between them. They wrapped Kakashi in the chain. Poison Claws drove forward toward the old man. Naruto was between them and Tazuna before the chain finished rattling. He caught the chain in one hand, bare hand wrapped around the links like he was holding a leash. Snatch. Both brothers felt it, their speed gone, stolen. They stumbled, suddenly moving through a world that had gotten too fast for them. Naruto yanked the chain and slammed both brothers into each other headfirst. The impact sounded like a coconut being cracked against concrete. They crumpled. He dropped the chain. Too easy. Kakashi, who had substituted out of the chain wrap and was hiding in a tree, fully planning to observe his team, stared. That had been less than 2 seconds. The Demon Brothers were elite ambush specialists. They'd been KO'd like bar drunks who picked a fight with the wrong stranger. He dropped down. "Naruto, that was easy." "Yeah, I said that." Naruto was already walking again. "Can we get to this bridge place? I heard the Land of Waves has good seafood and I'm starving." Kakashi looked at the unconscious Demon Brothers. He looked at his students retreating back. He looked at Sasuke, whose Sharingan, still inactive, still dormant, was practically itching to awaken just from the sheer frustration of watching someone else be effortlessly superior. They kept walking. The mist came in thick the day they crossed the water. Zabuza Momochi, Demon of the Hidden Mist, former 7 swordsman, A rank missing 9, announced himself with killing intent so heavy it made Sakura's legs buckle. He appeared on the lake's surface, standing on the water like a ghost, the executioner's blade strapped across his back. Bandages covered his face. His eyes promised violence. "Kakashi of the Sharingan," Zabuza's voice rolled through the mist like a blade. "Hand over the bridge builder, and I'll let the kids live." Kakashi pushed up his headband, revealing the spinning Sharingan. Team, protect Tazuna, do not engage. Naruto leaned against a tree and yawned. Zabuza moved. The mist thickened. The battle between two elite Jonin tore across the lake's surface. Water erupting in pillars like steel ringing against kunai, killing intent thick enough to taste. It was fast, brutal, and genuinely impressive for about 90 seconds. Then Zabuza caught Kakashi in the water prison jutsu. A sphere of water locked around the copy ninja's body, held in place by Zabuza's palm. Kakashi floated inside, immobilized, his Sharingan eye wide. "Run!" Kakashi shouted. "Take Tazuna and nah!" Naruto pushed off the tree. He walked forward, steps unhurried, hands in his jacket pockets. He walked across the water as if the surface tension was a personal favor from the lake itself. His crimson eyes locked onto Zabuza through the mist. Zabuza looked at him. A 12-year-old in a red jacket with blonde hair and a grin that had absolutely zero business being on a face that young. "The hell is this?" Zabuza's voice dripped with contempt. "A kid? Kakashi, your students are going to get themselves killed." "You should listen to him, Naruto," Kakashi yelled from inside the water prison. "Relax, Mask-san, this won't take long." Zabuza made a water clone with his free hand. The clone raised the executioner's blade, a slab of steel the size of a grown man designed to behead in a single cut, and swung at Naruto. The blade hit. It didn't just hit, it cleaved. The executioner's blade, 7 feet of iron and killing intent, sliced through Naruto's body at the waist. Clean through. His upper half separated from his lower half. Blood sprayed across the mist-covered water. His torso tumbled one way. His legs crumpled the other. Sakura screamed. Her hands flew to her mouth, and she screamed a sound that had nothing to do with ninja training and everything to do with watching a boy get cut in half. Sasuke's eyes went wide. Something hot and electric surged behind them. The Sharingan, fighting to awaken, forced toward activation by the spike of adrenaline and shock. Zabuza smirked behind his bandages. One down. Naruto's upper half grabbed the executioner's blade. The smirk died. His fingers wrapped around the flat of the massive blade with one hand. His lower body, legs, hips, everything below the waist slid across the water's surface back toward his torso. Flesh met flesh. Muscle reconnected. Bone fused. Skin sealed. In 3 seconds, Naruto Uzumaki stood whole on the water, one hand on the executioner's blade, the other still in his pocket. He looked at Zabuza. Mist curled around him. His red jacket was soaked in blood. His own blood, already drying because the body that produced it had already forgotten the wound. "You're a million years too early to kill me." Zabuza's eyes went wide above his bandages. The hand holding the water prison trembled. For the first time in years, since his attempted coup on the Mizukage, since his exile, since he'd earned his title by killing 100 academy students, Zabuza Momochi felt something he thought he'd outgrown: fear. "What are you?" he whispered. "Fox hunt." A whip of raw energy erupted from Naruto's outstretched hand. It cracked through the mist like a bolt of red lightning, faster than the eye could track. It hit Zabuza's right arm, the one holding the water prison, at the shoulder joint. The arm ripped off. Clean. Total. Shoulder to fingertip. Gone. Spinning through the mist and splashing into the water 20 feet away. Blood erupted from the severed stump. Zabuza's scream ripped through the mist, a raw animal sound that shattered the eerie silence of the lake. The water prison collapsed. Kakashi dropped to the water's surface, gasping free. Zabuza stumbled back. His remaining hand grabbed the stump where his arm had been. Blood poured through his fingers. His eyes, the eyes of a man who'd fought and killed since childhood, were wild with something that looked a lot like understanding. He understood in that moment what he was looking at, something that could unmake him. Naruto walked forward. 1 step. 2. The same lazy grin. The executioner's blade still in his hand. He'd kept it, casually, like he was carrying a borrowed umbrella. Leaving so soon? We just started. From the trees, hidden in the branches 50 yards away, a figure in a porcelain mask watched. Haku's hand pressed against his mouth. His eyes were wide behind the mask. He'd served Zabuza since childhood. He'd watched his master fight and defeat countless opponents. He'd seen monsters. He had never seen his master's face make that expression. Zabuza-sama. Haku breathed. Senbon needles flew. 3 of them, aimed with surgical precision, Haku cursed himself for thinking the word with perfect accuracy, striking Zabuza in the neck. The demon of the mist collapsed, seemingly dead. Haku appeared in a blur, scooped the massive body, and bowed to Naruto. "Thank you for defeating him. I am a hunter nin of Kirigakure. I will dispose of the body." Naruto looked at the masked figure. He looked at the senbon placement. He looked at the way those needles hit nerve clusters designed to induce death-like comas, a technique he recognized because he'd seen healers use the same points in reverse. "You're lying," Naruto said. "Those needles put him in a fake death state. You're going to heal him and he'll be back in about a week." The silence that followed was deafening. Haku froze. Kakashi froze. Sasuke and Sakura froze. But honestly, Naruto dropped the executioner's blade. It cratered the water's surface and sank. "I'm kind of bored with this fight. Take your boss. Fix his arm if you can. If he wants round two..." The grin turned sharp. "I'll be at the bridge." Haku vanished with Zabuza's body before anyone could argue. Kakashi stared at Naruto for a long time. Water dripped from his uniform. His body was still weak, still recovering from the prison jutsu. He just watched a 12-year-old disarm an A-rank missing 9, literally disarm, and then let him go out of boredom. Naruto. "Yeah? You could have ended him." "Yeah? Why didn't you?" Naruto looked at the spot where Haku had vanished. Something flickered across his face. Brief, there and gone, like a shadow passing behind stained glass. The kid with the mask, he looked at the big guy the way someone looks at the only person in the world who matters to them. A pause. "I've made that face before, long time ago, for someone I..." He stopped. The grin came back easy and wide like a curtain dropping over a window. "Forget it. Let's go eat. Tazuna, you're buying." Kakashi watched his student walk toward shore, hands in pockets, humming a tune that sounded like it belonged in a tavern from another century. And in the Jonin's mind, a thought formed that he would never be able to fully shake. That boy isn't a genin. He might be the most dangerous person I've ever met. And I've met Itachi Uchiha. Zabuza came back. A week later on the bridge, just as Naruto predicted. The demon of the mist showed up with his arm still bandaged, his killing intent cranked to maximum, and Haku at his side. Behind them, Gato, the shipping tycoon with an army. Hundreds of hired mercenaries filling the bridge, armed with swords, crossbows, clubs, and the kind of confidence that comes from overwhelming numbers. Haku engaged Sasuke with the demonic mirroring ice crystals. The battle was ferocious. Haku's speed was elite, his ice mirrors creating a dome of death, senbon raining from every angle. Sasuke's Sharingan awakened mid-fight, two tomoe spinning in his dark eyes as he began tracking the movement between mirrors. It was a great fight. Two prodigies going at full speed, each pushing the other. Naruto watched from the side. He was sitting on the bridge railing, legs dangling over the edge, sipping from a bottle he'd taken from Tazuna's kitchen. "You doing okay, Sasuke?" he called over. "Shut up!" Sasuke yelled, dodging a barrage of ice senbon. "That means he's fine." Kakashi fought Zabuza. The rematch was intense. The demon of the mist had adapted, was using the mist to counter the Sharingan, was fighting with one arm and a level of fury that made him genuinely more dangerous. Kakashi was being pushed, but Naruto's attention wasn't on either fight. He was watching Gato. The shipping magnate stood at the end of the bridge behind his mercenary army. 300 men, armed, ugly, and motivated by money. They watched the ninja fight with the bored patience of men who knew they'd be mopping up whatever was left. Gato was smirking. He had a plan. Naruto could see it in the fat man's eyes. He was going to betray Zabuza, let the ninja tire each other out, then send in the army to kill everyone. Classic rat move. "Yeah," Naruto murmured, finishing his drink. "That's about what I figured." Things escalated fast after that. Haku, pushed to his limit by Sasuke's awakened Sharingan, threw himself between Kakashi's lightning blade and Zabuza. The ice user's body took the full force of the attack, the electrified hand punching clean through his chest. Haku died standing, a smile on his lips beneath his cracked mask. Zabuza stared at the body of the only person who'd ever mattered to him. His single remaining arm trembled. Something in his face broke open. Raw, primal grief that had nothing to do with demons or mist or swords. Then Gato stepped forward with his army and laughed. Pathetic, the demon of the mist, crying over some kid. "You failed, Zabuza. You're fired. Boys, kill them all. The bridge builder, the ninja, all of them. I'm done wasting money." 300 mercenaries surged forward, and Naruto Uzumaki hopped off the railing. He landed on the bridge with a sound that shouldn't have been audible over 300 stomping feet, but somehow was. Every eye turned to him. The 12-year-old in the red jacket, blonde hair catching the morning sun that was finally burning through the mist, crimson eyes scanning the army with something that looked like appetite. He cracked his knuckles, one hand, then the other. His 3-section staff, a retractable weapon he'd built himself, modeled on a memory from another life, extended to full length with a sharp metallic snap. 300, huh? He rolled his neck. A grin split his face, the kind of grin that had made warriors in another world turn and flee. Haven't had this much fun since that time with the Holy Knights. He walked forward, into the army, alone. Crazy rush. The bridge became a slaughterhouse. The first mercenary didn't see the staff swing. His jaw separated from his face, and he was airborne before his brain registered pain. The second caught a knee to the sternum that folded him in half and sent him flying into 5 others. The third raised a sword. Naruto caught the blade in his teeth, snapped it, and head-butted the man so hard his helmet dented inward, and he was laughing. He was actually laughing. Swords hit him. Arrows pierced him. A crossbow bolt went through his eye socket. He pulled it out. The eye regenerated. He kept swinging. His staff whirled in arcs that connected with everything. Bones snapped. Bodies flew. A group of 10 charged him from behind. He spun the 3-section staff like a helicopter blade, and they scattered like bowling pins, blood and broken weapons spraying in every direction. A massive thug with a warhammer brought it down on Naruto's skull. Direct hit. The hammer cratered the top of his head. His skull caved in. Blood poured down his face. He looked up at the thug through a curtain of red. That's a nice hammer. The skull reformed. The blood dried. Can I keep it? Snatch. The hammer vanished from the thug's grip and appeared in Naruto's hand. He threw it sideways into a cluster of mercenaries. 6 went down. On the other side of the bridge, the builders who'd been working with Tazuna watched from behind barricades. Their faces cycled through a taxonomy of human emotion: fear, awe, disbelief, and something that looked a lot like religious conversion. Is that the kid? One of them whispered. That's a demon, another said. That's our demon, Tazuna said and took a drink. Sakura stood next to Kakashi, who had pulled back from the Zabuza fight to protect Tazuna. Her hands were over her mouth. She'd stopped trying to make sense of what she was seeing. A 12-year-old was dismantling an army of grown men, and they couldn't stop him. They couldn't hurt him. They couldn't even slow him down. Every wound healed. Every blade that cut him was a waste of metal. He moved through them like a fox through a hen house, all speed and teeth and terrifying good humor. Kakashi-sensei, Sakura said, her voice thin. What is he? Kakashi watched Naruto catch a spear thrust through his abdomen, snap the spear, and use the broken halves as dual weapons. I have absolutely no idea. Sasuke watched from a sitting position, battered from his fight with Haku, Sharingan spinning wildly, trying to track Naruto's movements and failing because the blonde was moving at speeds that Sasuke's freshly awakened eyes couldn't follow. Each failure burned. Each display of impossible power stoked a fire in Sasuke's chest that felt less like rivalry and more like obsession. How? How is he this strong? What is he? Naruto reached Gato in 90 seconds. The shipping magnate backed against the bridge railing, his mercenary army either unconscious, broken, or running. 300 men. 90 seconds. Gato's legs gave out and he sat on the ground, staring up at the blood-covered 12-year-old standing over him. Wait, Gato stammered, hands up. I have money. I have connections. Whatever you want. Name it. Naruto tilted his head. What I want. He leaned down. His face was inches from Gato's. The blood of 100 men dripped from his hair onto the tycoon's expensive suit. I want you to know something, Gato. In my last life, I dealt with a lot of people like you. Rich, powerful, thought they could buy their way out of anything. He stood back up. They couldn't. Fox Hunt, the whip-like energy lashed out. Gato went over the railing. The splash echoed up from far, far below. Naruto turned back. The bridge was a wreck. Broken weapons, unconscious bodies, bloodstains stretching from one end to the other. He walked back through the carnage, stepping over groaning mercenaries, his staff retracting and disappearing back into his jacket. He reached Zabuza. The The demon of the mist lay on the ground. His remaining arm was draped over Haku's body. Tears tracked through the bandages on his face. He was dying. The wounds from Kakashi's fight, the exhaustion, the blood loss from his missing arm. He didn't have long. Naruto looked down at them. The grin was gone. His face held something else. Something that anyone who'd ever lost the one person who mattered would recognize. He knelt. He put a hand on Zabuza's shoulder. "He loved you," Naruto said. "You know that, right?" Zabuza's eye found Naruto's. "How would a brat like you know anything about?" "Because I had someone like that." Naruto's voice was quiet. The sing-song was gone. What replaced it was something raw and ancient. "I had someone who was everything, and I lost her, and I burned the world down trying to get her back." Zabuza stared at him. Whatever he saw in those crimson eyes made the dying man nod once. "Kid, you're not human." "Haven't been for a long time." Zabuza's eye closed. His hand tightened on Haku's sleeve. Then it went still. Naruto stood up. He looked at the two bodies for a long moment. Then the grin returned, softer this time, like armor sliding back into place. "Hey, Tazuna," he called. "When you finish the bridge, name it something good." These two earned it. Team 7 returned to Konoha as a changed unit. The mission report was classified immediately. The third Hokage read it twice, smoked through an entire pipe of tobacco, and then pulled out a second pipe. "He destroyed an army," the Hokage murmured. 300 men in 90 seconds, Kakashi confirmed. He stood in front of the Hokage's desk, with the posture of a man delivering news he himself barely believed. He regenerated from every wound, including a caved-in skull and a bisection at the waist. He used abilities I've never seen in any record, the ability to steal physical strength from opponents, a whip-like ranged attack that severs limbs, and a close-range technique that removes internal organs from living bodies. Hiruzen Sarutobi was silent for a long time. "And you believe these abilities are connected to the Nine Tails?" "I believe they are something else entirely. The Nine Tails chakra never activated. His own regeneration is faster and more complete than any Jinchuriki healing I've read about. Lord Hokage, I think the seal on his stomach is irrelevant. Whatever makes Naruto what he is has nothing to do with the fox." The Hokage puffed his pipe. The smoke curled toward the ceiling. "He killed a man at age 6. He dismantled you at the bell test. He maimed an A-rank missing 9 and soloed a mercenary army. He is 12. He paused. "And he stole my lunch yesterday." Kakashi blinked. "Your lunch?" "My private lunch. From a sealed drawer in this desk, while I was sitting at the desk." The Hokage shook his head. "I didn't see him enter or leave. Somewhere in Konoha, Naruto Uzumaki was eating the Hokage's rice balls and grinning. The Chunin exams were a circus. Naruto loved circuses. Teams arrived from every hidden village. The streets of Konoha filled with genin, sand, sound, grass, rain, waterfall. They came with their headbands and their ambitions and their carefully honed skills. They came ready to prove themselves. Most of them had never heard of the undead fox. They would learn. Team 7's registration was handled by Kakashi, who simply told them to show up and try to leave the building standing. He was looking at Naruto when he said it. "I make 0 promises," Naruto replied. The written exam was first. Abiki Morino, head of torture and interrogation, a man whose face told a story of sustained violence, presided over a room full of nervous genin. The test was designed to force cheating. The questions were impossible without intelligence gathering. The pressure was the point. Naruto finished the test in 4 minutes, writing answers that were either perfectly correct or perfectly wrong, depending on how you looked at them. One answer to a question about tactical deployment read, "Send me. Everyone else can stay home." For the 10th question, the psychological trap where quitting meant your team failed, Naruto didn't wait for Abiki to finish explaining. "We're staying. Next phase." Abiki stared at him. Those were the most bored eyes the interrogation specialist had ever seen, and Abiki had stared into the eyes of men who'd been broken by weeks of torture. "Proceed to the next exam," Ibiki said. The Forest of Death was next. 44 training grounds, a death forest full of predators and traps, 10 teams enter per gate, scrolls to collect, a central tower to reach. Survival of the fittest. Naruto stepped through the gate, stretched, and started walking toward the tower like he was taking an afternoon stroll. Sasuke followed, tense and alert. Sakura followed Sasuke. equally tense. They'd been in the forest for 20 minutes when the air changed. The trees went silent. Birds stopped singing. A pressure settled over the clearing that made Sakura's lungs seize and Sasuke's spine lock. Something was here. Something massive and wrong and ancient. Orochimaru stepped out of the shadows. He didn't bother with the disguise this time. The Sanin's yellow eyes swept across Team 7 with the amusement of a snake examining mice. His tongue extended, tasting the air. His skin was pale as bone. The Uchiha, Orochimaru purred. I've come for you, Sasuke-kun. That body of yours. Those eyes. I have such plans for. Hey, Orochimaru paused. The blonde one. The one in the red jacket. He was standing between Orochimaru and Sasuke, hands in pockets, head tilted, looking at the Sanin the way someone looks at a mildly interesting bug. You're the snake guy, right? Orochimaru? The one who went nuts and ran away? Orochimaru's smile widened. And you are the Jinchuriki, the container. How delightful. Stand aside, child. My business is with the Uchiha. See, that's the thing. Naruto took one hand out of his pocket and wagged his finger. I don't really care about your business, but Sasuke's on my team, and I'm kind of responsible for making sure he doesn't get body snatched by a creepy snake person. Orochimaru's smile froze. His chakra flared. S-rank, monstrous, enough to level forests. He moved. He was fast. Sanin level speed. Decades of combat experience. A body enhanced by forbidden jutsu to a degree that pushed the boundaries of human performance. He crossed the distance to Naruto in a blink, and his fangs sank into the blonde's neck. The curse mark burned into Naruto's skin. Orochimaru pulled back, satisfied. The curse mark was his masterwork, a seal that infected the body, corrupted the chakra network, and placed the victim under his influence. It was pain incarnate. It was a leash disguised as a gift. Naruto tilted his head. The curse mark burned across his skin like black flame. For a full second, the seal pattern spread. Then it met his immortality. The fountain of youth burned into every cell of his being, recognized the foreign corruption for what it was, an intrusion, a disease, a poison. The curse mark disintegrated. The black lines retreated, broke apart, and vanished into nothing. Naruto's skin was clean, unmarked. The bite wound on his neck sealed over, healed, and disappeared. Naruto rolled his neck. He looked at Orochimaru with those crimson eyes. You call that immortality, snake face? That's adorable. Orochimaru's smile was gone. For the first time in a long time, longer than most people in this world had been alive, the Sanin's expression held something other than amusement or cruelty. His eyes widened, his pupils contracted, because nothing had ever rejected the curse mark. Nothing. It was his most refined technique, decades of development, tested on hundreds of subjects. And this child had burned it off like morning dew. Hunterfest. The forest died. A wave of energy erupted from Naruto's body, invisible, all-consuming, reaching outward in every direction. 100 meters. Every living thing within that radius felt it. Orochimaru's physical strength vanished. His speed vanished. His muscles, enhanced by decades of body modification and forbidden techniques, collapsed to baseline human levels. His summoning snake, a massive serpent he'd brought his back up, hidden in the canopy above, crashed through the trees, drained of everything that made it a threat. The snake hit the forest floor like a wet noodle. Sasuke and Sakura felt it too, a sudden weakness, a heaviness in their limbs. They dropped to their knees. Every animal within 100 meters collapsed. Birds fell from branches. A tiger in the underbrush crumpled mid-stride. All of it. Every ounce of stolen strength. It flowed into Naruto. His body swelled. His muscles expanded visibly, his jacket straining at the seams. His height seemed to increase. The air around him distorted with the sheer density of stolen power. The physical strength of an S-rank Sannin, a giant summoning snake, 2 Genin, and every living creature in a football field's radius, all compressed into one body. He was massive. He was terrifying. He was grinning. Orochimaru stumbled backward. His legs buckled. He caught himself on a tree trunk and stared at the thing standing in front of him. This wasn't a Genin. This wasn't a Jinchuriki. This was something that should have been sealed at the bottom of the ocean. Naruto closed the distance in a single step. His fist connected with Orochimaru's jaw. The Sanin's mandible separated from his skull. Bone shattered. His body launched backward through 3 trees, each trunk exploding on impact before embedding in a fourth. The forest shook. Leaves rained like confetti. Orochimaru hung in the shattered tree. His jaw was gone, literally gone. The lower half of his face a ruin of flesh and broken bone. His yellow eyes rolled, his body spasmed. Then, because this was Orochimaru, he shed his skin. The damaged body split down the middle. A new Orochimaru crawled out, whole, healed, his jaw restored. But his eyes were different. His eyes held something that Naruto recognized from another life. The look of a creature that believes itself at the top of the food chain, discovering that it is prey, fear. Real, genuine, bone-deep fear. Orochimaru ran. The legendary Sannin, the immortal snake, the genius who defected from Konoha and built his own village and terrorized nations, turned and fled through the forest of death like a rabbit fleeing a wolf. Naruto watched him go. He let the stolen power dissipate slowly, his body returning to its normal, still impressive, proportions. He popped his neck. "Come back anytime, Snakeface. That was fun." Sasuke on his knees, strength returning as the Hunterfest's effect faded, stared at Naruto with an expression that would take months to fully process. He just watched a fellow genin, someone his age, punch a Sannin's jaw off and send the most feared criminal in the elemental nations running in terror. The gulf between them was an abyss. Sasuke stared into it, and something inside him cracked. Sakura threw up. That was the only appropriate response, really. They reached the tower within the hour. Most teams took days. Team 7 walked in like they just returned from grocery shopping. Naruto humming, Sasuke brooding with new intensity. Sakura still pale. The preliminary rounds were held in the tower's arena. A big room, elevated observation balconies, a proctor who looked like he might die of tuberculosis at any moment. 20-something genin who'd survived the forest crammed into the space and waited for their names to appear on the electronic board. Naruto Uzumaki versus Kiba Inuzuka. All right. Kiba dropped to the arena floor with a feral grin. Akamaru perched on his head, tiny and loyal, and completely unaware of what was about to happen. "I've been wanting to see what the big deal is. Everybody talks about you, Uzumaki. Let's see if you live up to the hype." Naruto stepped down. His hands stayed in his pockets. He looked at Kiba the way a cat looks at a toy mouse. "A dog person, huh?" He smiled. "I actually kind of like dogs. Don't take this personally." "Beast mimicry, man-beast clone." Akamaru transformed into a copy of Kiba. Both charged forward, spinning. Fang over fang. The twin drills of claws and teeth tore through the air. They hit Naruto dead on. Kiba's claws ripped a chunk of flesh from Naruto's left shoulder, exposing bone. Akamaru's drill tore through his right side, shredding his jacket. The arena crowd gasped. Naruto looked at his shoulder. He watched the muscle and skin grow back in real time, pink flesh covering white bone in a wave of regeneration that took less than 2 seconds. He touched the healed shoulder, then examined his torn jacket. "That was my favorite jacket, dog boy." "What?" Kiba landed, skidding backward. He stared at the completely healed wound. "How?" Snatch! Kiba's world collapsed. Every ounce of physical strength drained from his body in an instant. His muscles turned to jelly. His legs gave out. He face-planted on the arena floor and couldn't lift his head. Akamaru, connected to Kiba through the beast mimicry, felt the effect through their shared technique. The dog clone reverted to puppy form and collapsed beside his master, whimpering. Naruto walked over. He looked down at Kiba, who was straining with everything he had just to turn his face off the floor. "How? What did you?" Kiba's eyes were wild. Naruto kicked him, one casual kick to the ribs. Kiba flew sideways, hit the arena wall hard enough to spider crack the concrete and slid to the floor. Ribs cracked. Match over. Start to finish, 11 seconds. The arena was silent. On the balcony, the surviving genin stared, every single one of them. The Sand siblings, the Sound team, teams 8 and 10, their sensei. The proctors, silence. Then, from the back of the balcony, someone started slow clapping. It was Might Guy. The Jonin was openly weeping with what appeared to be both terror and admiration. "What magnificent youth!" he bellowed. Everyone ignored him, because they were too busy processing what they'd just seen. Neji Hyuga's Byakugan was active. He'd watched the entire fight with the most advanced visual dojutsu in existence. He'd seen the energy leave Kiba's body. He'd seen it enter Naruto's. And for the first time in his life, the Hyuga prodigy didn't have an explanation for what he was looking at. "Impossible," he murmured. "That wasn't chakra. That wasn't a jutsu. He simply took." Gaara stood at the far end of the balcony. His arms were crossed. His sand stirred in the gourd on his back, agitated. The one tail inside him, Shukaku, was doing something Gaara had never felt before. It was pulling away. The demon was retreating deeper into the seal, away from the blonde boy in the arena, the way a smaller predator retreats from a larger one. Gaara's teal eyes fixed on Naruto with an intensity that bordered on obsession. Mother is afraid, Gaara thought. Mother is afraid of him. Tamari and Kankuro exchanged glances. Their brother's sand never moved on its own unless something threatened him. The sand was currently trying to build a wall between Gaara and the edge of the balcony. Down in the arena, Naruto picked up Akamaru, who was still whimpering. He tucked the tiny dog inside his jacket, where it was warm. You fought well, little guy. Your owner's gonna be fine. Probably. He walked back up to the balcony. Every genin he passed flinched, except Hinata Hyuga, who was standing near the stairs with both hands clasped over her mouth and her pale eyes shining. She looked at Naruto. She looked at the way he carried the little dog gently inside his jacket, despite having just demolished its owner. She looked at the power and the kindness existing in the same body. Her face turned the color of a tomato, and she nearly passed out. She okay? Naruto asked, pointing at the swaying Hinata as he passed. She's fine, Kurenai said quickly, steadying her student. She's just overwhelmed. Yeah, Naruto said, glancing back at the crater in the wall where Kiba was being scraped off by medics. That happens a lot around me. The finals were set for 1 month later. The matchups were posted, training periods assigned, and the village began buzzing about the upcoming tournament, Naruto's match versus Neji Hyuga. The village betting pools went insane. Half the population bet on the Hyuga prodigy, the genius, the Byakugan user, the boy who'd never lost a fight. The other half remembered the stories about the undead fox and kept their money in their pockets. During the training month, Naruto did what Naruto always did, whatever he felt like. He trained by fighting. He'd walk into training grounds where other teams were practicing, challenge their best fighter, demolish them, steal their lunch, and leave. He showed up at the Hyuga compound's public training area and watched their fighters practice the gentle fist from a tree branch until a branch house member noticed and threw a kunai at him. He caught it, waved, and vanished. He spent 3 days in the forest of death by choice, hunting the giant animals for meat and sleeping in the trees. He came back with a tiger pelt that he turned into a coat lining. Jiraiya, the toad sage, self-proclaimed super pervert, student of the 3rd Hokage, found him on the 4th day of the training month. The old man appeared in a cloud of theatrical smoke on the bank of a hot spring where Naruto was cooking a stolen fish. Naruto Uzumaki, Jiraiya announced, striking a kabuki pose. I am the great Toad Sage Jiraiya, your godfather. I've come to train. You're the pervert who writes those books Mask-san reads. Naruto didn't look up from his fish. Sit down. Want some? Jiraiya's dramatic entrance deflated like a punctured balloon. He sat. He took some fish. Listen, kid, I know about the fox sealed inside you. I'm here to help you harness. The fox is fine where it is. Naruto bit into his fish. We have an arrangement. He stays in there, I don't bother him, and sometimes when I'm sleeping, he tells me rude stories about how much he hates my dad. Jiraiya choked on his fish. You know about your father? Minato Namikaze, 4th Hokage, the guy who sealed a demon in his own newborn son because he thought it would work out. Naruto shrugged. The fox told me. We had a long talk about it. Well, he screamed and I listened. Same thing. You? How long have you known? Since I was 8. Another bite. It's fine. I've got bigger things to deal with than daddy issues. Jiraiya studied the boy in front of him. There was something deeply wrong with how mature those crimson eyes were. 12-year-olds didn't speak like this. They didn't carry themselves like this. They didn't cook fish over a handmade fire while casually discussing their dead parents with the equanimity of a retired war veteran. What are you, kid? Naruto smiled. Hungry, mostly. He said that a lot. Jiraiya stayed for the month. He didn't train Naruto. It became clear within a day that Naruto didn't need training. Instead, they drank together. Jiraiya with sake, Naruto with stolen sake, told stories and argued about which of Jiraiya's books was the worst. Volume 6, Naruto said. The plot twist made 0 sense. Volume 6 is a masterpiece. The hero's motivation changed 3 times in one chapter. Also, your female characters are all the same person in different wigs. Jiraiya stared at him. How did you even read those? You're 12. I'm 12 on the outside. Naruto finished his drink. On the inside, I'm old enough to be your grandfather's grandfather, and I've had better love stories than anything in your books. That was the closest Naruto came to mentioning Elaine during the training month. Jiraiya heard it. The old man was a lot of things: pervert, loudmouth, fool. But he was also a sage and a storyteller. He heard the weight under that sentence. He heard the centuries of loss compressed into 7 words. He didn't push it. Smart man. Finals day. The arena was packed. The Fire Daimyo sat in the VIP box with the 3rd Hokage. Every major clan head was in attendance. The stands were a sea of faces: civilians, shinobi, visitors from other villages. The betting was ferocious. Naruto showed up late. Because of course he did. He dropped into the arena from the spectator stands, landing on the dirt floor with a casual thump, sake bottle in hand, red jacket billowing. He looked around at the crowd like he was deciding whether they were worth entertaining. The crowd looked back at him and something electric ran through the stands. First match! The proctor announced. Naruto Uzumaki versus Neji Hyuga. Neji descended the stairs into the arena like a man walking to a coronation. His posture was flawless. His Byakugan was already active, veins pulsing around his pale eyes. He looked at Naruto with the contemptuous certainty of someone who has never been wrong about anything. Fate has determined this match already, Neji said. He stopped 10 meters from Naruto. A failure is always a failure. You were born a loser, Uzumaki. That is your destiny. Naruto took a sip of sake. You done? Your strength against other genin means nothing against the Hyuga's gentle fist. I will seal your chakra points and end this. Cool speech. Naruto tossed the sake bottle over his shoulder. It shattered somewhere behind him. He put his hands in his pockets. Now hit me. Neji's eyes narrowed. The Byakugan saw everything. The chakra network, the tenketsu points, the flow of energy through the body. When Neji looked at Naruto, he saw the standard human chakra layout. He also saw something else, something beneath the chakra, layered under it, woven through every cell like a second circulatory system. It was golden. It pulsed. It looked alive. The Byakugan couldn't identify it because it wasn't chakra. It was something older. Neji dismissed it. It didn't matter. Chakra points were chakra points. 8 trigrams, 64 palms. Neji attacked. His hands moved in the exact, devastating pattern of the Hyuga's ultimate close-range technique. 2 strikes, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. Each strike hit a tenketsu point with precision, sealing it shut with injected chakra. His fingers blurred. The audience saw a dance of death. Every single hit landed. Every single chakra point was sealed. Neji struck Naruto's heart directly on the final blow, driving enough force to stop the organ. Naruto's heart stopped. He stood there, every chakra point sealed, heart stalled, the equivalent of a puppet with all its strings cut. His body should have been a corpse. Neji turned his back. You are finished. He began walking toward the proctor. Call it. The proctor looked at Naruto's body. He stepped forward. Then the crowd gasped. It started at the fingertips. A golden glow, warm, alive, the same energy the Byakugan had seen and dismissed, surged through Naruto's tenketsu. The sealed points blew open, all 64. The chakra surged back, and beneath it, the immortality of the fountain of youth restarted his heart like a kick to a stalled engine. Do thump. Naruto's crimson eyes opened. You're hitting my chakra points? He rolled his shoulders. Every bone in his body cracked. Too bad I don't need chakra to kick your ass. Neji spun around. His Byakugan watched every sealed point on Naruto's body reopen in real time, the energy flowing freely where he just spent his best technique closing it. His face, so composed, so certain, fractured. That's impossible. I sealed your fox hunt. The whip energy cracked from Naruto's palm and hit the ground at Neji's feet. The arena floor exploded upward, dirt, stone, concrete, launching the Hyuga prodigy off his stable stance. Neji's rotation technique needed a planted base. Without footing, the rotation was impossible, and Naruto was already there. A knee connected with Neji's face. The impact was tremendous, a sound like a tree being snapped at the trunk. Neji's nose broke, his consciousness broke, his destiny speech broke, all 3 in the same instant. The Hyuga prodigy's body ragdolled backward, skipped off the arena floor once, and came to a stop in a heap of white fabric and Hyuga pride. Out cold. Match over. The arena exploded. The crowd roared, half in shock, half in the visceral thrill of watching the unbeatable get beaten. The sound washed over the stadium like a wave. In the VIP box, Hiyashi Hyuga, head of the Hyuga clan, the most composed man in the elemental nations, watched his nephew get dismantled. His expression, legendary for its stone-cold rigidity, developed a hairline crack. His left eyebrow twitched. For a Hyuga, that was the equivalent of screaming. The third Hokage turned to look at Hiyashi. "Your nephew fought well." Hiyashi said nothing. The eyebrow twitched again. In the stands, Hinata had both hands over her mouth again. Her eyes were wide, wet, and shining. She was trembling. She'd spent her entire life watching Neji be unbeatable. She'd spent her entire life hearing about destiny and fate and the immutable truth that talent determined everything. And then a boy in a red jacket got up from a sealed heart and kicked destiny in the face. She was crying. She didn't know why. Yes, she did. Next to her, Kiba, bandaged and medicated but present, watched with his jaw hanging open. Yeah, Shino said, pushing up his sunglasses. But Neji, yeah. But the 64 palms, yeah. Kiba's jaw closed, opened again. What the hell is that guy? Shino adjusted his glasses. Problematic. Across the arena, Gaara watched with unblinking teal eyes. The sand in his gourd churned. Shukaku was screaming inside the seal, a mixture of rage and terror that Gaara had never heard from the demon before. I want to fight him, Gaara thought. Don't. Shukaku shrieked from inside. I want to fight him. You'll die. We'll die. He is wrong. He shouldn't exist. I want to feel it. I want to feel what Neji felt, what Kiba felt. I want him to look at me. Shukaku's screaming reached a pitch that should have shattered the seal. It didn't matter. Gaara smiled. For the first time in his life, it was a smile of anticipation. Something existed that his sand might actually need to fear. And Gaara wanted to stand in front of it. More matches happened. Other fighters fought. Other techniques were displayed. The crowd watched and cheered and gasped. Naruto slept through all of it on the contestant bench, his jacket pulled over his face like a blanket. Then Konoha exploded. It started with feathers. Genjutsu rained down on the stadium, a mass sleep technique designed to knock out every civilian in attendance. Naruto felt it brush against him and shrugged it off. Immortals didn't sleep unless they wanted to. He lifted his jacket off his face. The sky was full of snakes. Giant summoned serpents, each the size of a building, crashing through Konoha's walls. Sand Ninja and Sound Ninja were pouring through breaches in the village perimeter. On the Kage box, a barrier jutsu had erected. Orochimaru was inside with the third Hokage. Purple walls of energy sealed them together for what was clearly meant to be a fatal confrontation, the invasion of Konoha. Huh, Naruto said. That's new. An explosion rocked the arena. Sand Ninja dropped from the stands. Sound Ninja charged through the gates. Jonin mobilized to counter. Genin scrambled. Gaara was gone. He'd left with his siblings during the confusion. Sasuke pursued, because of course Sasuke pursued. The boy's newly evolved Sharingan was burning for a fight, and Gaara was the strongest opponent available. Sakura ran after Sasuke. Hey, forehead, Naruto called. She stopped. He tossed her something, a kunai with a seal tag attached. If things go bad, channel chakra into that. I'll come. She caught it. She looked at him. She nodded and ran. Naruto stretched. He looked at the arena, which was now a full-scale battlefield. Konoha Jonin were fighting Sand and Sound Chunin. Bodies were already falling. The village he lived in, the village that hated him, that had tried to kill him, that had made his life an exercise in creative hostility, was under attack. He thought about that for a moment. Did he care? He'd asked himself that question before. He'd lived enough lives to know that caring about a place was different from caring about the people in it. Konoha as a village? Meaningless. Buildings and ideology. But Iruka lived here. Jiraiya was here. The old Hokage who'd at least tried. The ramen chef who'd always served him without hatred. The few, the handful, who'd looked at him and seen a person instead of a monster. Yeah, he cared enough. All right. He cracked his knuckles. Let's clean house. He leaped from the arena floor to the top of the stadium wall in a single bound. Below him, the village stretched out, smoke rising, buildings crumbling, the sounds of battle filling the air like a thunderstorm of steel. A squad of Sound Jonin was on the wall. 4 of them. They turned to face the blonde 12-year-old who just landed among them and raised their weapons. Assault hunt. All four dropped simultaneously. Strength, speed, everything. Ripped from their bodies in one pulse. They collapsed like marionettes with severed strings. Naruto kicked the first off the wall, the second, the third, the fourth. He kept moving. Through the streets, he was a one-man counter-invasion. Sound ninja in the residential district. Crazy Rush scattered them, his fists and staff a whirlwind of broken bones and unconscious bodies. Sand Ninja at the academy. Snatch turned their strongest fighter into a helpless ragdoll. A summoned snake, 40 feet long, rampaging through the market. Fox Hunt severed its head from its body, and the massive carcass crashed into an empty building. He moved through Konoha like a force of nature in a red jacket. The Konoha ninja he passed stared. Some of them recognized him, the Jinchuriki, the demon brat, the undead fox. They watched him single-handedly clear entire blocks of enemy forces, and they stared because what else could they do? An Anbu captain, Cat Mask, veteran of 2 wars, landed beside him after he cleared the hospital district of a sound infiltration team. Uzumaki, the Hokage is trapped with Orochimaru. We can't breach the barrier. Where? Cat pointed toward the Kage box. The purple barrier was visible even from here, glowing against the sky. Naruto looked at it. He looked at the direction Gaara had gone, the forest outside the village. He could feel it. Tailed beast chakra, growing, surging. Gaara was transforming, and Sasuke was out there with him. I'll deal with the raccoon first. The old man can hold his own for a bit. He turned to go, then paused. Hey, Anbu-san. Yes? After I handle this, I'm raiding the Anbu cafeteria. Just a heads up. He vanished. He found them in the forest outside the eastern wall. Gaara had transformed. Sand covered his body, building, expanding, the one-tailed form taking shape. A massive arm here, a tail there, the face of Shukaku emerging from the sand like a demon rising from the earth. Sasuke was on the ground, beaten. His Sharingan still spun, but his body was done. Curse mark exhausted, chakra depleted, covered in sand, burns, and bruises. He'd fought hard. He'd used the Chidori. He pushed Gaara further than anyone expected. It wasn't enough. It was never going to be enough. Sakura was pinned to a tree by a sand claw, the pressure slowly crushing her. She was conscious but fading. Naruto arrived. He landed on a branch above the clearing and looked down at the scene. Gaara, or the thing that used to be Gaara, turned to face him. The Shukaku construct's single yellow eye locked onto Naruto's crimson ones. Uzumaki, Shukaku's voice thundered through Gaara's mouth, distorted and manic. I told him to stay away from you, but he wanted this. The fool wanted this. Hey, Tanuki, Naruto called down. Let the pink one go. My business is with your landlord. Gaara's human eye, the one still visible beneath the sand, burned with something manic. Fight me, Uzumaki. Prove my existence. Make me feel alive. Yeah, sure. After you drop my teammate. The Sandclaw released Sakura. She fell and Sasuke, broken as he was, dragged himself to catch her. They hit the ground together. Naruto hopped down from the branch. Gaara's sand surged. Sand burial. A tidal wave of sand that engulfed Naruto's entire body. The sand compressed. Grains pressed against skin with enough force to powder bone. Every square inch of his body was under crushing pressure. The sand squeezed. Bones broke. Organs ruptured. Blood sprayed from the gaps between sand grains, painting the golden surface crimson. For a moment, Naruto Uzumaki was nothing more than a red stain inside a coffin of sand. Then the sand exploded outward. Naruto stood in the crater where the sand burial had been. His body was already healed. Bones reset, organs reformed, skin sealed. He was absolutely drenched in his own blood, red from head to toe, and he was grinning so wide it looked like his face might split. You want blood? He spread his arms wide, the red dripping from his fingers. I've got plenty. Let's keep going. Gaara screamed. The sand erupted in all directions and the full transformation began. Sand piled on sand. The construct grew, 10 feet, 20, 50, 100. The full form of Shukaku rose above the forest like a mountain of sand and malice. A tailed beast, a living calamity, the one tail towering above the trees, its massive mouth cackling. Ha! I'm free! Shukaku's voice shook the forest. And the first thing I'm going to do is grind you into Hunter Fest, maximum output. Everything Naruto had. The wave of snatch energy that erupted from Naruto's body was a different animal than what he'd used on Orochimaru. This was aimed at a tailed beast. This was aimed at something the size of a building made of living sand and demonic chakra. It hit. Shukaku felt it immediately. The demon's physical strength, the raw brute force of a tailed beast, was being pulled from its body, ripped out, stolen. The massive sand construct wobbled. Its limbs went loose. The tail that could flatten mountains drooped. What? What is this? What are you doing? Naruto's body swelled with the stolen power. His muscles expanded until they strained his jacket seams. His height increased. The veins in his arms stood out like cables. He held more physical strength in his body than any human being in this world had ever possessed. The raw might of a tailed beast compressed into a teenager's frame. He leaped. The distance between the ground and Shukaku's face was 100 feet. Naruto covered it in a single jump. He grabbed the massive sand construct's jaw with both hands, his fingers digging into the sand like it was clay, and he suplexed it. 100-foot tailed beast. Suplexed. The full weight of Shukaku's body, momentum reversed, slammed into the forest floor behind Naruto. The impact was seismic. Trees within a quarter-mile flattened. The ground cratered. A shockwave ripped outward that knocked birds from the sky 3 miles away. Dust clouds billowed to the heavens. Sasuke, shielding Sakura with his body, watched a 12-year-old boy suplex a tailed beast, and his Sharingan burned it into his memory because there was nothing else it could do. Shukaku crashed into the earth. The sand construct cracked and fragmented from the impact. Naruto landed on its chest, standing on the tailed beast like it was a stepping stone. Fox hunt! 2 whip energy lashes cracked out from each hand. They severed Shukaku's sand arms at the shoulders, both simultaneously. The massive limbs crashed into the forest on either side, crushing dozens of trees each. Sand exploded in plumes that looked like nuclear detonations. Shukaku, armless, weakened, grounded, screamed. Impossible! You're impossible! What are you? Naruto stood on the demon's chest. His hair whipped in the wind, his crimson eyes blazed. He looked down at the tailed beast beneath his feet, and his grin was something from a nightmare. I'm the fox's sin of greed, Tanuki, and I'm greedy for everything you've got. He punched down, banishing kill. A full-powered strike enhanced by every ounce of stolen strength. His fist went through Shukaku's sand body like a meteor through wet paper. The impact crater punched through the construct and into the earth beneath it. The shockwave flattened another quarter-mile of forest. The sand collapsed. The tailed beast form crumbled. The demonic chakra dispersed. And from the ruins of the construct, a small red-haired boy tumbled free. Gaara hit the ground. He rolled twice and lay on his back, staring at the sky with eyes that had lost their mania. They were empty. Confused, the sand that had protected him since birth didn't rise. The voice that had always screamed for blood was silent. For the first time in Gaara's life, Shukaku had retreated completely, pulled itself as deep into the seal as it could go, curling into a ball of sand and fear. The demon was hiding. From a 12-year-old, Naruto landed beside Gaara. His body was returning to normal proportions, the stolen power dissipating. He looked down at the sand Jinchuriki. A kid, smaller than him, red circles under his eyes from a lifetime of insomnia, a kanji for love tattooed on his forehead because someone had made him believe love was a lie. Naruto knew what that felt like. In another life, in another world, he'd been alone too. Hey, Naruto said. Gaara flinched. I'm done hitting you. Calm down. Why? Gaara's voice cracked. Tears welled. Why are you so strong? How? I've been alone my whole life, fighting to exist, and you. You think being alone makes you strong? Naruto sat down next to him, cross-legged, casual. It doesn't. I spent centuries alone. It just makes you tired. Then what? The people you fight for, that's the difference. Naruto looked toward where Sasuke and Sakura were. I've got a handful of idiots in my life who'd be sad if I disappeared. That's enough. Find your own handful, raccoon boy. Stop trying to prove you exist to people who don't matter. Gaara stared at him. The tears fell freely now. Something inside the boy, something that had been walled behind sand and blood and screaming since he was small, cracked open. I don't know how. Yeah, you do. You've got those too. Naruto pointed to the tree line where Temari and Kankuro had appeared, terrified, staring at the flattened forest and the defeated tailed beast. Start there. He stood up, patted Gaara on the head like a dog, and walked away. Behind him, Temari rushed to her brother. Kankuro followed. Gaara looked at them with wide, wet eyes. He'd been looked at by something that scared him more than the demon inside him, and that something had sat down next to him and told him to find friends. Gaara would never be the same. The invasion ended. Orochimaru retreated. The third Hokage survived, barely, weakened, but alive because the purple barrier had been disrupted from outside by a coordinated Jonin assault. The Sound Four had been overwhelmed when Naruto's counter thinned the invading forces enough for Konoha to focus its heavy hitters on the barrier. The old man survived. Naruto heard the news and felt something unclench in his chest. "Good," he said. "I still haven't stolen enough from his office." Konoha rebuilt. The village always rebuilt. But something had changed in the way the population looked at a certain blonde in a red jacket. They'd seen him during the invasion, moving through the streets, dismantling enemy squads, fighting the tailed beast in the forest. The explosion from Shukaku's impact had been visible from every corner of the village. The whispers changed. The undead fox saved the Eastern District. He fought a tailed beast, alone. My son says he suplexed it. That can't be right. He suplexed a demon, Takara. What part of our lives is normal anymore? Naruto noticed the change. People stopped crossing the street to avoid him. A few actually nodded when he walked by. One woman at a food stall gave him an extra portion of dumplings unprompted. He ate the dumplings. They were good. Did he care about their approval? About as much as he cared about weather forecasts. He'd stopped needing validation from strangers 1,000 years ago. But the dumplings were nice. The weeks after the invasion were tense but peaceful. Tsunade arrived to become the 5th Hokage, brought back by Jiraiya, who'd gone to fetch her and come back looking like he'd been punched through a wall. He had, multiple times. The blonde woman with the diamond on her forehead took the hat, the office, and immediately the headache of governing a village that contained Naruto Uzumaki. I've read your file, Tsunade said during their first meeting. She was behind the Hokage's desk. Naruto was sitting on the windowsill, eating an apple he'd stolen from her desk drawer. It's the thickest file in this entire building, including S-rank criminals. That's flattering. It's concerning. Those are the same thing. Tsunade studied him. Her medical expertise told her things her eyes couldn't. His cells regenerated faster than anything she'd ever seen. His physical condition was beyond peak human, and there was something in his biology that she couldn't identify with any existing diagnostic jutsu. I'm going to ask you once, she said. What are you? Naruto bit his apple. He chewed. He swallowed. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. I like ramen, ale, and naps. I'm on Team 7, and I'm really, really hard to kill. That's not an answer. That's the only one you're getting. He hopped off the windowsill. Nice meeting you, Grandma Hokage. Try the rice balls from the place on 3rd Street. I'll steal some for you later. He left through the window. Tsunade stared at the empty windowsill. Then she looked at her desk drawer. Her apple was gone. She'd been holding the first one. He'd stolen a second apple without her seeing. Shune! Yes, Lady Tsunade? How many apples were in that drawer? 3, my lady. Tsunade opened the drawer. Empty. 3 apples. She'd seen him with one. He'd left with one. She looked down. Naruto had left a note on her desk. Thanks for all 3. The second one was the best. Tsunade's eye twitched. This was going to be a long tenure. Peace lasted about 2 months. Then Sasuke Uchiha decided to destroy it. The seeds had been planted long before, in the moment Naruto dismantled Kakashi, in the Forest of Death when a Sannin fled from his teammate, in the arena when Neji fell, in the forest when a tailed beast was suplexed into the earth. Every display of Naruto's power was a wound in Sasuke's pride, and each one festered. Sasuke wanted power. He needed it. Itachi was still alive, still unpunished, and the gap between Sasuke and his brother felt infinite. But the gap between Sasuke and Naruto, a boy his own age, felt infinitely worse, because Naruto didn't even seem to be trying. The Sound Four came for Sasuke in the night. Orochimaru's offer, power, in exchange for his body, eventually, someday, but power now, was the whisper that pushed him over the edge. He left. He packed a bag, walked out of the village, and followed 4 sound ninja into the darkness. Naruto was asleep on a rooftop when Sakura found him. She was crying, running. She tripped on the roof tiles and fell in front of him, and the impact woke him up. Naruto, Sasuke, he's gone. He left. The sound ninja, he's going to Orochimaru. I know. She stared at him through her tears. You know? I smelled them when they entered the village. 4 of them. Strong. They left 40 minutes ago heading northeast. He stood up. Go tell the Hokage. I'll bring him back. Naruto, Sasuke is strong, and those sound ninja, Sakura. He looked down at her. His crimson eyes were steady. His voice had lost the sing-song lilt. When he spoke like this, flat, direct, stripped of the playful drawl, it was more unsettling than any threat. I will bring him back. Go home. She nodded. She went. Naruto stood on the rooftop and looked northeast. The moon was high. The wind carried the scent of pine and betrayal. He sighed. Stupid kid. He moved. The Sound Four never saw him coming. Shikamaru had been assigned a retrieval team. Neji, Choji, Kiba, and himself. Good kids. Smart tacticians. They would have fought through the Sound Four in a grueling series of one-on-one battles that would have pushed them all to their limits and nearly killed half of them. None of that happened. Naruto intercepted the Sound Four at the Valley of the End, a massive canyon with 2 towering statues of Madara Uchiha and Hashirama Senju on either side of a waterfall. The Sound Ninja were in the middle of transferring Sasuke's coffin to the final leg of their journey. They sensed him at the same time. 4 elite Sound Jonin, Sakon, Ukon, Kidomaru, Tayuya, and Jirobo, dropped into combat stances. All of them had curse marks. All of them were confident. Hunter Fest. Done. All 4 collapsed simultaneously. Their curse marks, fueled by physical energy, sputtered and died as every ounce of strength was ripped from their bodies. Sakon and Ukon, the twin-bodied fighters, separated involuntarily, both halves too weak to maintain their fusion. Kidomaru's spider arms went limp. Tayuya's flute clattered from fingers that couldn't grip. Jirobo, the largest, hit the ground like a felled oak. 5 seconds. That was how long it took Naruto to neutralize the Sound Four. 5 seconds in a single technique. He stepped over their groaning bodies and opened Sasuke's coffin. The Uchiha burst out, curse mark active, level 1, body covered in the black flame pattern of Orochimaru's seal. His Sharingan blazed red with 3 spinning tomoe. He attacked immediately, a chakra-enhanced punch aimed at Naruto's jaw. Naruto caught the fist. Hey, idiot. Sasuke's eyes were wild. The curse mark pumped foreign chakra through his system, amplifying his emotions, pushing everything toward rage and violence. Let go of me! I'm leaving! I need power! You need a nap! Naruto shoved him backward. Sasuke skidded across the water at the base of the waterfall, catching himself with chakra-enhanced footing. Orochimaru can't give you what you want, Sasuke. He couldn't even scratch me. I'm going to Orochimaru and you can't. Can't what? Stop you? Naruto tilted his head. Look around. Your bodyguards are taking a dirt nap. Your curse seal runs on physical energy I can drain whenever I feel like it. And you, he pointed at Sasuke, you're strong for a Genin, but I'm not a Genin, Sasuke. I'm something else entirely. Sasuke's Sharingan spun, his teeth clenched. The curse mark pulsed and then surged. Level 2 activated. The transformation was grotesque. Sasuke's skin darkened to a bruised gray. Wings erupted from his back, hand-shaped, membranous, wrong. His hair lengthened. His eyes shifted to gold with black sclera. The chakra output tripled. Curse mark level 2. Orochimaru's gift fully activated. Sasuke looked like a demon. He felt like a demon. The power coursing through him was intoxicating. I will prove, Sasuke hissed, his voice distorted by the transformation, that I am stronger than you. Naruto looked at the winged, gray-skinned monster that used to be his teammate. He sighed. You really won't let this go, huh? Fine, give me your best shot. I mean it. Everything you've got, your absolute best. I'll stand right here and take it. He spread his arms wide. Open target. Feet planted on the water's surface. The waterfall roared behind him. Sasuke's golden eyes widened. Then they narrowed. If Naruto wanted to die standing, Sasuke would grant that wish. Lightning gathered in his hand. The sound of 1,000 screaming birds filled the valley. Chidori, but twisted, corrupted by the curse mark's influence. The lightning turned black. Dark Chidori, the strongest attack in Sasuke's arsenal, amplified by level 2, channeled through a body running on borrowed demonic power. Sasuke charged. He crossed the distance at a speed that would blur to most Jonin. His wings gave him aerial mobility. He dove straight at Naruto, arm extended. The black Chidori screaming forward. It hit. The black Chidori punched through Naruto's chest, clean through. Lightning crackled through the wound. You could see daylight through the hole where his heart should be. Black lightning arced from both sides of the wound. Visible, visceral, final. Sasuke's arm was buried in Naruto's chest up to the elbow. For a moment, the valley was silent, except for the crackling of lightning and the roar of the waterfall. Naruto looked down at the arm in his chest. He looked at Sasuke, and he wrapped both arms around the Uchiha. A bear hug. Tight, inescapable. His arms locked around Sasuke's transformed body, pinning the wings, trapping the arms, pulling him close. Sasuke's hand was still inside Naruto's chest cavity. He could feel the heartbeat. He could feel it had stopped. "I told you, idiot," Naruto said. Sasuke tried to pull his arm back. It came free with a wet, horrible sound. The hole in Naruto's chest, fist-sized, lightning-scorched, fatal by every medical definition, sealed shut. Muscle regrew. Skin closed. In 3 seconds, there was nothing. A smear of blood on a jacket. That was all. I'm immortal. Sasuke's gold eyes went wide. Zero sign. Naruto vanished. His arms released Sasuke, and then everything. His presence, his aura, his chakra signature, even the displaced air around his body disappeared. He was gone. The Sharingan, the most advanced tracking dojutsu in existence, spun at maximum speed, scanning the valley. It found nothing. Sasuke stood on the water, curse mark level 2 fully active, wings spread, Sharingan blazing, and he could see everything in the valley, every ripple of water, every falling droplet from the waterfall, every insect on the statue's face. He couldn't find Naruto. Zero sign. The technique that erased presence entirely. You couldn't track what wasn't there. You couldn't sense what had decided to stop existing. Even the displacement of air that a living body created, gone. Naruto was a ghost, a void in the shape of a boy. 1 second, 2. Sasuke felt it before he saw it. A hand, flat, palm first, struck the exact center of his spine. Snatch. Everything left. Sasuke's strength, his speed, the curse mark's power, physical energy, amplified physical energy, the demonic steroids pumping through his system. All of it was ripped from his body in a single instant. The curse mark's black lines retreated, shrinking back toward the seal on his neck. The gray skin paled, the wings dissolved, his hair shortened, his eyes returned to black. The transformation collapsed, the power collapsed. Sasuke collapsed, his knees buckled, his arms went limp. 3 bones in his left arm cracked from the sudden loss of the curse mark's structural reinforcement. He fell forward, hit the water, and didn't have the strength to keep his face above the surface. Naruto caught him by the back of his shirt, one-handed, and lifted him up. Sasuke hung there, dripping, depowered, broken. His Sharingan had deactivated. His eyes were normal, dark, and for the first time in months, clear. The curse mark's whispers, the constant hiss of power, take it, leave, destroy, were silent. "You done?" Naruto asked. Sasuke opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. "How?" he managed. "How are you this strong?" "I've lived a long time, Sasuke." Naruto shifted his grip, slinging Sasuke over his shoulder like a sack of rice. "I've fought things that would make your brother look like a kitten. I've died 1,000 times and come back 1,001. The kind of power you're looking for, the kind Orochimaru promised you. It's a shortcut that ends in a cage." "Then how do I kill Itachi?" Naruto started walking across the water toward the Konoha side of the valley. His footsteps were casual, steady. Sasuke hung over his shoulder, too weak to struggle, too exhausted to argue. "You get stronger, the real way. You bleed for it, you break for it. You do it on your own terms with your own power until the day you're strong enough to look your brother in the eye and mean it." A pause. "And you don't sell your body to a snake to get there. That's just embarrassing." Sasuke was quiet for a long time. The waterfall's roar faded behind them. The forest closed in. Birds started singing again. "You're the most annoying person I've ever met," Sasuke said. "I know." Naruto grinned. "You should hear me when I'm drunk." "You're always drunk." "Yeah, so imagine how annoying that is." Sasuke made a sound. It took Naruto a moment to identify it. It was a laugh. A small, exhausted, half-delirious laugh, muffled against Naruto's back. The blonde's grin softened. Just a fraction. Just enough. He started humming. A tavern song from another life. Something he'd sung in the boar hat with his captain and his friends. Mugs raised, voices terrible, hearts full. The melody drifted through the trees like a thing that didn't belong in this world, but had decided to visit anyway. Behind them, at the Valley of the End, the waterfall continued to fall between two ancient statues. The statues stared at each other with the eternal enmity of their real-world counterparts. At the base, 5 unconscious sound ninja lay in a heap that would eventually be collected by an Ambu team who would write a report that no one would fully believe. Shikamaru's retrieval team arrived at the valley 30 minutes later. They found the Sound 4 drained and unconscious, Sasuke's empty coffin, and a single sake bottle sitting on Hashirama's stone head with a note attached. The note read, "Handled it. You're welcome." In Shikamaru read the note. He looked at the unconscious Sound 4. He looked at his team, Neji, Choji, Kiba, all geared up and ready for the battles of their lives. "Well," Shikamaru said, "that's the most troublesome teammate in history." Neji's Byakugan traced the footprints leading back toward Konoha. 2 sets. One steady, one dragged. He deactivated his dojutsu inside. "He carried him home," Neji said. "Like luggage," Kiba added, sniffing the trail. "He literally carried him like luggage." Choji opened a bag of chips. "So, we came here for nothing?" "We came here," Shikamaru said, pocketing the note, "as backup for a guy who doesn't need backup. Let's go home." Naruto walked through the gates of Konoha as the sun was rising. The gate guards saw him first. A tall, muscular 12-year-old in a blood-stained red jacket, carrying an unconscious Sasuke Uchiha over his shoulder, humming a tune that sounded like it belonged in a pub from a fairy tale. They stared. "Morning," Naruto said, walking past them. The news spread faster than fire. The last Uchiha had been retrieved. The defection had been stopped. And the boy who stopped it was walking down the main street of Konoha like he'd just come back from buying groceries. Sakura was waiting at the hospital entrance. She saw them coming and ran, pink hair flying, tears already flowing. "Sasuke, Naruto!" Naruto stopped. He shifted Sasuke off his shoulder and held him out to Sakura like a delivery. One Uchiha, slightly bruised, minimally damaged. "Where do you want him?" Sakura grabbed Sasuke, staggering under his weight. "Is he okay? What happened? Are you hurt?" "He's fine. He'll be sore for a week." And Naruto gestured at his blood-stained jacket, the hole in the chest where the Chidori had gone through. "Do I look hurt?" Sakura stared at the hole. She stared at the skin beneath it. Smooth, unbroken, as if nothing had ever been there. "He put Chidori through your chest?" "Yeah!" It tickled. Sakura's brain performed a full reset. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it. Then she just shook her head and carried Sasuke inside. Kakashi appeared on the hospital roof moments later. He'd been running perimeter defense during the night and had come the moment he heard. He looked down at Naruto, who was leaning against the hospital wall, arms crossed, the morning sun painting his red jacket gold. "You brought him back?" Kakashi said. "Yep." "The Sound 4? Nap time. Ambu can pick them up." "And Sasuke's curse mark?" "Drained it dry. The seal's still there, but the power's gone. Might come back eventually. Might not. Either way, he won't be flying anywhere for a while." Kakashi was quiet. He looked at Naruto for a long time. The blonde looked back with those crimson eyes half-lidded, the lazy grin in place, the posture of a man who just done something extraordinary and found it barely worth mentioning. "You know," Kakashi said, "when they assigned me Team 7, I expected a lot of things. A prodigy Uchiha with a chip on his shoulder, a civilian-born Kunoichi with potential, and the village Jinchuriki with something to prove." He paused. "I didn't expect you. Nobody does." "No, they don't." Kakashi's visible eye crinkled, the sign that meant he was smiling beneath the mask. "Thank you, Naruto. Don't mention it." Naruto pushed off the wall. "Seriously, don't. I have a reputation to maintain." He walked away. Down the street, hands in his jacket pockets. The morning crowd parted for him, some from habit, some from fear, and a growing few, from something that looked like respect. A child ran out of the crowd, a small boy, maybe 5, who'd been watching from behind his mother's legs. He ran up to Naruto and tugged on the red jacket. Naruto looked down. "Are you really unkillable?" The boy asked, wide eyes, total sincerity. Naruto knelt. He met the boy's eyes. "Yeah, kid, I really am." "That's so cool." The boy's face lit up like a sunrise. "When I grow up, I want to be unkillable too. Stick to vegetables and dodge when someone swings at you. You'll be fine." The boy ran back to his mother, who grabbed him and pulled him close, staring at Naruto with an expression that couldn't decide between gratitude and terror. Naruto waved lazily and kept walking. The sun climbed. The village stirred. Somewhere in the hospital, Sasuke Uchiha slept without nightmares for the first time in years. Somewhere in the Hokage Tower, Tsunade received a report that made her drink before noon. Somewhere in the Forest of Death, a team of Ambu found a flattened quarter-mile of trees in a crater the size of a house and spent 4 hours trying to figure out what caused it. And somewhere on a rooftop, with the sun on his face and a stolen breakfast in his lap, Naruto Uzumaki leaned back and closed his crimson eyes. He thought about Elaine. He always thought about Elaine. In quiet moments, when the fighting was done and the grinning could stop and the world went still, she was there. Golden hair, wings like light, a smile that could make a sinner want to be better. She wasn't in this world. He'd looked, he'd felt, he'd searched in every face and never found her. But maybe that was okay. Maybe this time around, the sin wasn't about getting something back. Maybe this time, the greed was simpler. A handful of idiots to fight for, a village that was slowly learning to look at him without flinching, and the endless, impossible, stubborn fact of being alive. He sat there for a while. The sun moved. The shadows shifted across rooftops and clotheslines, and the ordinary mess of a village still picking itself up from an invasion. Naruto ate the last of his stolen breakfast, licked his fingers clean, and opened his eyes when Jiraiya landed on the rooftop behind him with all the grace of a drunk elephant. "Pack a bag, kid. Don't own a bag, then steal one." The old man was grinning, the kind of grin that meant trouble dressed up as a road trip. "We're leaving for 2.5 years. Research trip. Every country worth visiting and a few that aren't. You're coming." Naruto looked at him. "Why?" "Because you need to see the world. I've seen worlds you can't imagine. Then see this one again, with better sake." Jiraiya tossed him a bottle. Naruto caught it without looking, examined the label, and raised an eyebrow. "This is the good stuff. I know how to bribe you." Naruto stood. He stretched, popped his neck, tucked the bottle into his jacket. He looked out over Konoha one more time. The half-rebuilt walls, the cranes, the scaffolding, the people moving through streets that had been ash and blood a few weeks ago. 2.5 years, he said. "Give or take. And you're paying for food. I'm paying for nothing. You'll steal everything anyway." "True." The grin spread wide. "Let's go." They left the next morning through the east gate. The 2.5 years that followed became legend in places that would never admit it. Jiraiya dragged Naruto across 3 continents on what the old man called vital intelligence gathering, and what Naruto called getting drunk in new locations. They moved through countries like a storm front, visible, destructive, and gone before anyone could file a complaint. In the land of iron, Naruto challenged a samurai general to a drinking contest, and won so thoroughly that the general swore fealty to him in front of his entire honor guard. The fealty was rescinded the next morning when sobriety returned, but the story remained. In the land of lightning, he stole the ceremonial headdress from a Kumo dignitary during a formal dinner that Jiraiya had snuck them into. He wore it for 3 days. Kumo sent 2 ambush squads. They found the headdress hanging from a tree outside their village gates with a note that read, "Looks better on me." In the land of Earth, a border patrol of Iwachunin attempted to arrest him on general principle. Naruto used Snatch to take their weapons, their belt buckles, and, for one particularly rude officer, his left boot. He stacked the stolen goods in a neat pile in the middle of the road and walked on, while 12 Chunin stood there trying to hold their pants up. Jiraiya documented everything. The old man's notebooks filled with observations that had less to do with Naruto's abilities and more to do with the way the world reacted to him. Everywhere they went, the pattern repeated. Initial hostility, then confusion, then something between awe and exasperation that Jiraiya privately called the Naruto effect. "You're a ghost story in 3 countries now," Jiraiya told him one evening, somewhere in the mountains between rain and grass. "The Red Phantom, the Undead Boy, the Thief God. Thief God is pretty good. It's a compliment to your ego and an insult to religion." Jiraiya took a drink. "Where do you want to go next?" "Waterfall." "Waterfall? That backwater? Why?" "Heard they've got a sake made from mountain spring water that only blooms once a year." That's a myth. Everything about me is a myth. I still drink. So they went to the land of waterfalls, and everything changed. The fight was already happening when they arrived. Naruto heard it first, a sound like mountains breaking, half a mile through dense forest, accompanied by the unmistakable pressure of something large and furious moving through space. Jiraiya felt it too, and opened his mouth to say something strategic about reconnaissance and caution. Naruto was already gone. He moved through the trees at a speed that turned trunks into a green blur, following the sounds of destruction to a cliff face at the edge of a massive waterfall. The spray caught the midday sun and painted everything in fractured light, and in the center of that fractured light, a girl was fighting for her life. Green hair, wild, tangled, catching the mist. Orange eyes that burned like small suns. She wore a white uniform that was torn in 3 places and soaked with blood, some of it hers, some of it from the massive creature she'd been fighting before the real threat appeared. Wings flickered at her shoulders, half-formed, translucent, and shimmering with a teal chakra that smelled like open sky and summer wind. She was backed against the cliff face with her fists up and her teeth bared, and a grin on her face that had absolutely zero business being there given the situation. Because the situation was Kakuzu. The former bounty hunter of Takigakure stood 20 meters from the girl, and he was a horror. His body was a patchwork of stolen parts, stitched together with black threads that moved like living things, writhing beneath his skin and extending outward in tendrils that grabbed stone and tore it free. His face was hidden behind a mask and a hood, but his eyes were ancient, older than most living things. He'd survived the first Hokage. He'd collected bounties on men whose names filled history books. He had 5 hearts, each one ripped from a different corpse, each one powering a different elemental affinity. He was using 3 of them simultaneously. A fire blast the size of a house erupted from one tendril creature, a detached mass of threads and stolen organs that operated semi-independently. A wind technique from a second amplified the fire into a white-hot torrent. A third creature, earth-based, had raised walls on either side of the cliff to cut off escape routes. The girl, Fu, Jinchuriki of the Seven Tails, weapon of Takigakure, outcast, orphan, alone, dodged the fire by deploying her wings fully and launching skyward. She spun in the air, teal chakra condensing around her fists, and drove a punch downward that cracked the earth wall and sent stone fragments raining. "Is that all you've got, old man?" She was laughing. Actually laughing, with fire still licking the stone behind her, and a man who collected organs trying to rip the demon out of her body. "Insolent child," Kakuzu said. His voice was gravel and contempt. "Your tailed beast will be extracted and sold. Hold still." "Make me." The 4th heart creature surged forward, lightning-based, crackling with enough voltage to stop a beating heart. It lunged for Fu's midsection while she was still airborne, and the timing was good, the angle was right, and she was fast, but she was also 12 and fighting an enemy who had killed Kaj. The lightning creature's tendril wrapped around her ankle. The shock hit her like a wall. Her wings flickered. Her body spasmed. She dropped from the sky, trailing smoke, hitting the ground at the base of the cliff hard enough to bounce. The lightning creature hauled her in, tendrils wrapping her arms, her legs, her throat. Kakuzu walked toward her with the patience of a man collecting a debt. The Seven Tails Jinchuriki, worth more alive than dead, but dead works too. He reached down with one stitched hand. Any last? A foot in a worn sandal landed on the stone beside Fu's head. Kakuzu looked up. A blonde kid in a red leather jacket stood between him and his prize. Hands in his pockets, head tilted. Crimson eyes looking at Kakuzu with the expression of someone who'd found an interesting bug on the sidewalk. "You're the guy with the multiple hearts thing, right?" The kid said. He sounded interested. Academically. "I've never met someone who hid their vitals outside their body. That's actually kind of creative." Kakuzu's tendrils retracted from Fu instinctively. The bounty hunter's survival instincts, honed over decades that stretched into centuries, screamed at him in a voice he'd learned to obey. Something about this child was wrong. The posture, the eyes, the complete absence of fear in a place where fear was the only rational response. "Walk away, boy. This is a contracted acquisition." "See, I would." Naruto took one hand out of his pocket and wagged a finger. But I just got to this country and I heard there's good sake here. And if you kill the local Jinchuriki, that's going to cause all kinds of problems. That'll make finding sake harder. So, he shrugged, you're going to leave. Kakuzu attacked. All 5 heart creatures deployed at once. Fire, wind, lightning, earth, and water. The full elemental spectrum. Each one a semi-autonomous weapon controlled by threads and housed in stolen organs. The fire creature launched a blast. The wind creature amplified it. The water creature sent a tidal wave from the river behind the cliff. The earth creature raised a stone fist the size of a cart. The lightning creature arced voltage through the mist-soaked air. 5 S-rank elemental attacks hit a 12-year-old simultaneously. The explosion carved a new crater into the cliff face. Stone vaporized. The waterfall itself stuttered as the shockwave disrupted the flow. Debris rained for 100 meters. Kakuzu watched through the dust. His threads were tense. He waited for the remains. Naruto walked out of the crater. His jacket was burned. His left arm was a ruin of exposed muscle and bone, the flesh seared away to the elbow. His right side had a hole in it the size of a dinner plate where the water blast had punched through. Half his hair was singed. His ribs were visible through charred skin. He was grinning. The arm healed. Muscle crawled over bone like vines over stone. Skin sealed, pink and new. The burns vanishing as if someone was running time in reverse. The hole in his side closed. Organs were formed inside it, visible for one horrible instant before flesh covered them. His hair grew back. In 5 seconds, Naruto Uzumaki stood whole and untouched and deeply amused. That all 5? He cracked his neck. Let me show you how to use hearts properly. Hunter Fest. The wave erupted outward. 100 meters in every direction. Every living thing in range felt the drain. Strength, speed, the raw physical power that kept muscles attached to bones and joints working in their sockets. All 5 heart creatures collapsed. The threads that connected them to Kakuzu's body went slack as the stolen organs inside each creature lost the physical capacity to maintain their function. They hit the ground like puppets dropped by a bored god. Kakuzu himself staggered. His body, reinforced by centuries of stolen parts and a stitching technique that bordered on necromancy, weakened. His legs trembled. His threads retracted involuntarily, the controls slipping as the muscles that guided them turned to rubber. What? Kakuzu's eyes were wide above his mask. What did you? Took it. All of it. Everything your bodies were carrying in terms of raw strength. Naruto rolled his shoulders. His frame had thickened. The stolen power from 5 elemental hearts and a century-old bounty hunter filled him like a tide. Now for the fun part. Physical hunt. Naruto's hand moved. It extended forward in a motion that covered 20 meters in the space between heartbeats. His fingers passed through the first heart creature's body like it was smoke, found the organ inside, and pulled. A heart came out, still beating, still wrapped in threads. Naruto crushed it in his fist. The creature crumbled. Dead threads and dead flesh hitting the stone like wet rags. That's one. Physical hunt. 2 more hearts. The fire and the wind ripped free simultaneously, one per hand pulled from their creatures across a distance that should have been impossible. Kakuzu felt each one leave like a physical blow. His body hunched. 3 of his 5 hearts were gone. Destroyed. Crushed into pulp between the fingers of a child. 2 remained. His original and 1 backup. He'd started this fight as a man who had survived the first Hokage, who had endured a century of combat, who had killed and stolen and persisted through every era of shinobi history. He ended it on his knees. Kakuzu looked up at the blonde standing over him. The morning light caught those crimson eyes, and the bounty hunter saw something behind them that his century of experience could name but had never expected to meet. An apex predator, the real one. The thing at the top of a chain he'd spent his entire life climbing. "You're creative with the hearts thing," Naruto said. "Really? I mean it. Hiding your vitals in external hosts, rotating them out when one gets destroyed? That's clever. Problem is," he knelt down to Kakuzu's eye level, "I can take things out of bodies faster than you can put them in." Fox hunt. The whip of red energy lashed from Naruto's palm. It cracked across Kakuzu's chest and through it, not severing, but reaching inside, and the 2 remaining hearts burst simultaneously from the impact. The bounty hunter's eyes went blank. His body toppled forward. The threads that held him together lost their animation, and he came apart on the stone like a rag doll with its seams pulled. Kakuzu, the immortal bounty hunter, the man who fought Hashirama Senju and lived, who had terrorized the continent for 100 years, lay in pieces on a cliff face in the land of waterfalls. Start to finish. 30 seconds. Naruto stood up. He looked at his hands. He looked at the pieces. He dusted off his jacket. Too easy. Behind him, against the cliff, Fu was sitting up. Her wings had retracted. Her green hair was matted with blood and dust. Her white uniform was ruined. Burns covered her left shoulder where the lightning creature had grabbed her, and she was breathing hard, and her orange eyes were the widest things in the entire country. She was looking at Naruto. She was looking at the destroyed bounty hunter. She was looking at the craters and the collapsed heart creatures and the absolute wreckage of a fight that had lasted half a minute. Her mouth opened. "You're incredible," she said. "I know. I'm Fu. I know." He'd already checked her for injuries while talking. His crimson eyes had tracked the burn on her shoulder, the bruising on her ribs, the slight limp in her left leg. "You're bleeding. Your left shoulder." "Oh, that? I barely." "Sit down." She sat. She had no idea why she listened. She was Fu of Takigakure, Jinchuriki of the Seven Tails, a girl who had fought everything the world threw at her with a smile since she could walk. She listened to exactly 0 people on principle. She sat down for this one. Naruto found a cloth somewhere, ripped from a clean section of Kakuzu's cloak, because waste was for people with money, and handed it to her without looking at her face. He was staring at the tree line, checking for additional threats. His crimson eyes swept the forest perimeter with the efficiency of something that had been tracking danger for longer than this country had existed. "You're a Jinchuriki," Fu said. He glanced at her. "I can feel it, the thing inside you." She pressed the cloth to her shoulder. "It's big, bigger than mine. You've got the 9 tails." "Yeah, so we're the same." Her face broke into a grin that rivaled his, wide, reckless, full of something that refused to be beaten down by the world's best attempts. "We're the same." "I've never met another Jinchuriki. I mean, I've heard about them, but you're the first one I've actually... We should move. More might come." Talked to, and you just killed that guy in like 30 seconds, and that was the most amazing thing I've ever seen, and moving now. "I have so many questions. Are you always this strong? Where did you learn that? Can I learn that? What's your name?" "You never said your name." He stopped walking. He looked back at her. She was on her feet, shoulder wrapped, orange eyes blazing, grinning through the pain and the blood and the near-death experience like she'd just been invited to the best party of her life. Something cracked in his chest, something old and sealed and buried under centuries of loss, and a grin that served as armor. It was a hairline fracture, invisible, internal, the kind of thing only the person carrying it would feel. "Naruto," he said. "Naruto." She said his name like she was trying it on, like it was a garment she could wear. "That's a good name. Naruto. I'm keeping it. It's my name. You can't keep it. Watch me." She followed him into the trees. He walked fast. She kept up. She was still talking. He let her. They traveled. It was never a decision. Naruto was going somewhere, always going somewhere, following rumors of sake or interesting fights or the simple pull of a road that hadn't been walked yet. And Fu followed because she had nowhere else. And he was the most interesting thing in her entire existence. She said that to his face, multiple times, loudly. "You're the most interesting person I've ever met," she announced on the 3rd day, sitting across a campfire from him, eating a fish he'd caught. "You need to meet more people." "I've met plenty of people. They all suck. You're the first one who doesn't." "I killed a man in front of you 30 seconds after we met." "Yeah, and he was trying to rip a demon out of me. Context matters." She bit into her fish with the enthusiasm of someone who had never been taught table manners and didn't care to learn. "Besides, you handed me a cloth for my shoulder. Mean people don't do that." He said nothing. He ate his fish. Jiraiya caught up with them the next day. The old man took one look at Fu, green hair, orange eyes, teal chakra, Jinchuriki aura, and raised an eyebrow at Naruto. "You picked up a stray." "She followed me." "I'm right here," Fu said. "And I'm nobody's stray. I'm Fu. I'm the Seven Tails Jinchuriki. And I'm coming with you because Naruto is interesting and you write pervy books. Jiraiya's mouth opened and closed several times. How do you know about Mai? There's a copy in every inn we've stayed at. Your female characters are all the same person in different outfits. Naruto snorted. Jiraiya's dignity took a hit it would never recover from. The three of them traveled together for the remaining months. Jiraiya learned quickly that Fu was a force of nature wearing a girl's body. She talked constantly about everything to everything, including the trees, the sky, the bugs she found interesting, and the tailed beast inside her that she chatted with like a roommate. Chomei says you're loud, Fu told Naruto one evening. I haven't said a word in 2 hours. Your soul is loud. That's what Chomei says. She says your soul has a sound and it's really, really loud. Fu tilted her head. She also says it's old, like really old, like older than the trees old. Naruto's crimson eyes flickered. He looked at the fire. Your bug is perceptive. She's a beetle, and she's awesome, and she says thank you. A pause. Also, she says to stay away from her because you're scary. Smart beetle. Fu laughed. She laughed easily at everything, at nothing, at the absurdity of being alive in a world that had tried to kill her since birth. Her laughter sounded like wind chimes made of something unbreakable. He listened to it more than he admitted. One night, 3 months into the journey, they camped on a mountainside above the clouds. The sky was a spill of stars from horizon to horizon, and the air tasted like snow and possibility. Jiraiya had gone to a nearby town for research. They both knew what that meant. Fu sat across the fire from Naruto, knees drawn up, chin resting on them. Her orange eyes reflected the flames. She studied him with an intensity that would have been uncomfortable from anyone else. You feel old, she said. He looked at her, like you've been places I can't imagine. She was serious now. The grin was gone. The chatter was gone. What replaced it was an earnestness so raw it was almost painful. I don't mean your body. I mean you. The thing that looks out through your eyes. It's been around for a long, long time. He was silent for so long she thought he'd fallen asleep sitting up. The fire crackled. An ember drifted skyward. Yeah, he said. I have. She waited. He offered nothing else. She moved closer to the fire, closer to him. She sat beside him instead of across from him, shoulder almost touching his, and she looked at the same stars he was looking at. You don't have to tell me, she said. I won't. That's fine. She rested her head against his shoulder. It was a small gesture, spontaneous, the kind of thing she did with everyone she trusted, and the kind of thing she'd done with exactly 0 people before him. I'll figure it out eventually. He let her stay there. He watched the fire until it died. 2 weeks later, she said his name in her sleep. His real name. They were camped beneath a rock overhang in the land of rivers. Rain hammering the stone outside. Jiraiya snored 10 feet away. Fu was curled on her side, wings half deployed and spread beneath her like a blanket of teal light. She murmured in her sleep. She always did. Fragments of conversations and songs and sometimes arguments with Chomei. But this time, in the deepest part of the night, her murmuring shaped a word she'd heard him say once. A word he'd whispered in his own sleep 2 nights prior, when the dreams reached past the new life into the old one. Ban, she said. Clear as a bell in the rain-washed silence. He went still. Everything in him, the grin, the lazy posture, the century-deep armor of indifference, froze solid. He sat against the rock wall with his eyes open and his hands locked around his knees, and something in his chest turned over like an engine that had been sleeping for a very long time. She didn't wake up. She mumbled something else. Chomei's name, a complaint about rain, and rolled over. He sat there until dawn. When she woke, he was already making food over a rebuilt fire, and his face was arranged in its usual configuration, and his voice carried its usual lilt, and everything was fine. She looked at him. She could tell something had happened. She could read the faint stiffness in his shoulders, the fraction of a second delay before his grin deployed. She'd gotten good at reading him, the way you get good at reading weather, learning the signs that come before the storm. She let him have it. She didn't ask. Smart girl. During the journey, things tried to kill her 3 more times. A team of rogue rain ninja, hired by someone who wanted the 7 tails extracted for auction. They set an ambush in a mountain pass, 18 of them, armed with water jutsu and numbers and the confidence of men who thought they were attacking one girl. Naruto arrived before the first jutsu finished forming. He'd been a mile away, on a ridgeline, tracking the chakra signatures he'd picked up 6 hours earlier. He'd said nothing to Fu. He'd adjusted his walking route to intercept theirs. When the 18 ninja dropped from the rocks, Naruto was already standing among them. Assault hunt. 18 bodies hit the ground. 18 sets of muscles surrendered their strength to a blonde kid who hadn't even put down his sake bottle. Fu arrived to find Naruto standing in a circle of groaning, immobilized men, drinking. What happened? Nothing. They fell. All 18 of them? Bad footing. She looked at the groaning men. She looked at Naruto. She looked at the sake bottle. You're lying. Yep. She figured it out eventually. Between the rain ninja, a bounty hunter in the land of hot water, and a creature from the deep forest that might have been a summoning beast gone feral, the pattern became clear. Naruto was tracking threats toward her. He knew where they were before she did. He intercepted them before they became problems. She realized this one evening while he was cooking, watching the way he positioned himself, always between her and the tree line, always angled so his peripheral vision covered the approach routes, always loose-limbed and relaxed and ready to become something else entirely in a fraction of a heartbeat. She looked at him with those orange eyes. He looked back. Neither of them said anything. That was the loudest conversation they ever had. Jiraiya watched all of this with the eye of a man who'd written 12 volumes of romance novels and somehow still never managed to get his own love life right. He watched the way Naruto's single-sentence responses grew to 2 sentences when Fu was talking. He watched the way the kid's crimson eyes tracked her in a crowd, in a camp, in a fight, always finding her, always knowing where she was, the way a compass always knows north. You know, Jiraiya said one night, sitting with Naruto while Fu slept, she's good for you. She's loud. She's alive, in that same stubborn, impossible way you are. Jiraiya puffed his pipe. The universe doesn't usually give people like us second chances at this kind of thing. Naruto said nothing. He watched the fire, but his jaw was tight. The old man, for once, knew when to stop talking. They returned to Konoha on a morning in late spring. The gate stood taller than Naruto remembered, rebuilt, reinforced, gleaming with new paint and strengthened wood. The guards at the gate stared as 3 figures approached. A white-haired man in a red coat, a green-haired girl with orange eyes and a grin wider than her face, and a blond young man in a red leather jacket with crimson eyes and a reputation that had somehow grown in his absence. Naruto was 15 now. Taller, 5'11", lean and corded, with the kind of muscle that came from centuries of body memory expressing itself through new flesh. His face had sharpened, his jaw had gained definition. His hair was longer, wilder, and the whisker marks on his cheeks had deepened in a way that made him look less like a fox's vessel and more like a fox himself. The red jacket was new, the 4th one by his count, each replacement found or stolen in a different country. He walked through the gates and the village felt different. People recognized him. Vendors who'd crossed the street to avoid him 3 years ago looked up from their stalls and nodded. A group of children, too young to remember the worst of the hatred, old enough to have grown up on stories of the undead fox, pointed and whispered with the reverence usually reserved for returning heroes. A kid, maybe 8, ran up to him. Are you really Naruto, the guy who suplexed the sand monster? I prefer the guy who stole the Hokage's lunch, but yeah, cool. The kid ran back to his friends. A debate erupted about whether suplexing a tailed beast was cooler than stealing the Hokage's lunch. The consensus was split. Fu watched all of this with enormous eyes. They like you? Some of them. That's more than I had. She grabbed his arm. I love this place already. You've been here 40 seconds, and I love it. Show me where the food is. Sakura found them first. She was crossing the main street with a stack of medical texts, her pink hair longer now, her frame carrying the lean strength of 2.5 years under Tsunade's training. She looked up, saw the red jacket, and stopped dead. Naruto? He waved. She ran. The medical texts went everywhere. She skidded to a stop in front of him, breathing hard, her green eyes scanning him from head to toe. You look, she struggled. You look exactly the same. I always do. You really do. That's actually unsettling. Her eyes moved to Fu, who was still holding Naruto's arm and grinning at Sakura with the warmth of someone who had decided to be friends before the conversation started. Who is? Fu. Seven Tails Jinchuriki. She followed me home. I followed you everywhere, and I'm staying, Fu corrected. She extended a hand to Sakura. You're the pink-haired teammate, right? Naruto mentioned you. Sakura took the hand, blinking. He mentioned me? He said you punch things and cry a lot. I do not. Sakura's eye twitched. Then she looked at Naruto. That's what you said about me? After everything? Also said you're tough. I left that part out because it's obvious. Sakura's expression went through 4 distinct phases. She settled on reluctant gratitude. You're still the most difficult person I know. Give it time. You'll meet Fu properly. Hinata Hyuga was next. She appeared at the end of the street like she'd been summoned by some cosmic awareness that Naruto Uzumaki was back in the village. She was taller, her hair longer, her Byakugan eyes carrying a new steadiness that hadn't been there before. She saw Naruto. Her face turned the precise shade of a ripe strawberry. Then she saw Fu, holding Naruto's arm, green-haired, grinning, radiating the kind of comfortable familiarity that spoke of months spent traveling together. Hinata's jaw clenched. It clenched so hard that Neji, standing 20 feet behind her, winced in sympathy. The Byakugan activated involuntarily. Hinata's hands formed fists at her sides. Nen Naruto-kun, she said. Her voice was level, impressively level. The strain it took to keep it level could have powered a small generator. Welcome back. Hey, Hinata, you look taller. You too. Her eyes moved to Fu. And this is? Fu! Fu released Naruto's arm just long enough to grab Hinata's hands in both of hers. You have the prettiest eyes I've ever seen. Are they a bloodline thing? They're amazing. Hinata's brain performed a full factory reset. By the time it rebooted, Fu had already complimented her hair, her posture, and the stitching on her jacket, and Hinata found herself smiling despite the complex emotional algebra happening inside her chest. She's like a hurricane, Neji observed from his position, arms crossed, in human form. You have no idea, Naruto said as he walked past. Shikamaru was leaning against a wall further up the street, watching the procession with half-lidded eyes. He saw Naruto. He saw the trail of conversations and startled faces left in the blonde's wake. He saw Fu, who had somehow collected 4 new friends in the space of 100 meters. Troublesome, Shikamaru said. But the word carried a weight it hadn't before. Something earned through 2.5 years of hearing stories, and comparing them to the memory of a blonde kid who'd handled his entire retrieval mission solo, while Shikamaru's team stood around holding a note. Naruto nodded to him as he passed. Shikamaru nodded back. It was enough. Tsunade was in her office. She heard the commotion from the street below and immediately checked all her drawers. The apples were still there. The rice balls were still there. The sealed snack compartment she'd had installed after Naruto left, triple locked, blood sealed, warded with 2 separate barrier jutsu, was still intact. She exhaled. Her door opened. Naruto walked in. Grandma Hokage, don't call me that. Nice office, you redecorated. I reinforced, because of you. She looked at him from behind her desk. 2.5 years. He was taller, broader, and those crimson eyes hadn't aged a day. They looked the same as they had when he was 12. Welcome back, brat. Thanks. Your triple sealed snack drawer was a good idea, by the way. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a rice ball. Didn't stop me, though. Tsunade looked at the rice ball. She looked at her drawer. She opened it. Empty. I took them while walking up the stairs, Naruto said, biting into the rice ball. The blood seal only works if the person touching it has standard chakra patterns. Mine aren't standard. Tsunade's eye twitched. It was going to be a long day, a long tenure, a long everything. Shitsune! A green-haired girl appeared in the window behind Naruto, wings deployed, hovering in the air like a hummingbird. Is this the Hokage? She looks strong. I like her already. Tsunade stared at the flying girl. She stared at Naruto. Who is that? Fu. 7 Tails Jinchuriki. She needs diplomatic protection status. I'm vouching for her. You can't vouch for. I just saved you 2.5 years of Jinchuriki-related headaches by keeping her alive through 3 assassin attempts. Consider the vouching done. Tsunade opened her mouth. Closed it. Opened it. Fine. Fine. Shizune, process the paperwork. And someone seal my windows. Already through the window, Fu called from inside the office, having landed during Tsunade's sentence. Your village is beautiful. Do you have a rooftop I can use? Sasuke was the last. He found Naruto on a training ground that evening. The Uchiha had changed. Taller, leaner, his face carrying the same hawkish sharpness of his brother's. His Sharingan had matured, 3 tomoe in each eye, spinning with the lazy precision of a weapon that knew its own edge. He wore black. He always wore black. It was the opposite of Naruto's red in every way that mattered. They stood 30 feet apart. The evening light stretched their shadows across the grass. Sasuke looked at Naruto. His jaw tightened. You look worse, Naruto said. You look exactly the same, Sasuke said. I always do. A silence. The wind moved between them. 2.5 years of separate growth, separate paths, and the same fundamental dynamic. One of them was a mountain, and the other was a man trying to climb it. I got stronger, Sasuke said. Good. I'm going to surpass you. Naruto looked at him. Those crimson eyes, unreadable, ancient, holding something that might have been amusement, or might have been respect, or might have been the 1,000-year-old version of affection. Then hurry up. I'm getting bored waiting. Sasuke's left eye twitched. His right eye twitched. Both Sharingan spun. He turned and walked away, but his shoulders were straighter than when he'd arrived, and his stride carried something it hadn't before the conversation. Progress is a strange thing. Sometimes it looks like a punch. Sometimes it looks like walking away. Kakashi did the team reunion. He showed up to Training Ground 7 in his vest and his mask and his book, looking exactly the same as he had 2.5 years ago, because some things in this world were constants. He got 90 seconds into his opening speech. Snatch! The book vanished from his hand and appeared in Naruto's. Give that back. Make me. Naruto held the book up. Volume 12. Hasn't even been released yet. How do you have this? Jiraiya sends me advanced copies. Give it back. Let me read the ending first. Naruto. The heroine dies on page 412, and the hero's reaction scene is actually pretty decent for a pervy book. Kakashi went white behind his mask. You read the ending? How? I read fast, Master-san. I've been reading fast for a very long time. The book was returned grudgingly after Naruto had memorized enough passages to torment Kakashi with spoilers for the foreseeable future. Team 7 was officially reassembled. The Immortal, the Avenger, the Healer, and the Jonin, who was starting to suspect he was the least important person on his own team. Fu explored the village like a happy invasion. She sat on every rooftop. She talked to every vendor. She befriended the Akimichi by eating more than any of them at a restaurant challenge and winning through sheer enthusiasm. She found Naruto's favorite ramen stand and declared it the best food in the world. And old Toichi, the ramen chef, started weeping because he'd never seen 2 people eat that much and look that content. They were found on rooftops together. Always the same one. The tallest point on a building near the center of the village, 4 stories higher than it should be, accessible only by chakra walking or wings, or simply deciding gravity was a suggestion. They sat up there in the evenings, watching the lights come on across the village, and the silence between them carried the weight of 2 people who understood each other in ways that words couldn't service. Sakura saw them up there once, from the hospital rooftop below. Fu was talking. She was always talking. And Naruto was listening with his head tilted and his eyes on the sky and something on his face that Sakura had never seen there before. Softness. Something approaching peace. The grin replaced by something smaller and realer that had been hiding underneath it for years. Sakura looked away. Some things were meant to be seen only by the sky. The Akatsuki moved through the world like a slow disease. Naruto felt them before anyone in the village received official intelligence. He felt the way a predator feels the vibration of other predators in the same territory, an awareness that lived in his bones, refined over centuries of existing at the top of every food chain he'd encountered. They were collecting Jinchuriki. One by one, the tailed beasts were being extracted and the hosts were dying. And the world was losing its most powerful weapons in a sequence that looked random but carried the fingerprints of a plan. The Akatsuki's internal awareness of Naruto Uzumaki varied by member, and the variation was instructive. In Omegakure, the rain fell eternally on a tower of black metal. Pain, Nagato, operating through the Deva path, received the report from Zetsu, a blonde Jinchuriki in a red jacket. Reports from the Chunin exams, a boy who could steal physical strength from living beings. Reports from the Land of Waves, a boy who regenerated from bisection. Reports from the Invasion, a boy who suplexed a tailed beast. Reports from the Land of Waterfalls, a boy who destroyed Kakuzu in 30 seconds and took 3 of his hearts through the air. Kakuzu is dead, Zetsu reported, his black and white halves splitting the sentence between them. Pain was still. The renegade's concentric rings caught the rain's reflection. He processed the report the way he processed everything, through the lens of a man who had killed a country and concluded he was God. Nothing is beyond God's reach, Pain said. The Nine-Tails Jinchuriki will be collected with all the others. Conan stood behind him. She said nothing, but her amber eyes held a flicker that, in another person, might have been doubt. In a camp somewhere between borders, Kasame Hoshigaki sat sharpening Samehada and listening to the same report from a different source. The former Miss Swordsman was honest about power. He'd lived his entire life measuring himself against it, and he respected what he measured. That kid makes me feel like a warm-up, Itachi-san, Kasame said. His grin was the sharp-toothed expression of a shark who'd spotted a bigger shark and was impressed instead of frightened. 3 hearts, through the air, without touching the guy. Itachi Uchiha said nothing. He sat across the fire from Kasame, his face in shadow, his Sharingan active and staring at something only he could see. His silence was its own language, the silence of a man who had read a report and understood every implication and was rearranging a plan he'd spent years building. His Sharingan said what his mouth would not. The concentric spin accelerated for 1 heartbeat, the tomoe blurring into a pattern that spoke of recognition, recalculation, and the rarest of all Itachi Uchiha's responses, wariness. We'll handle it, Kasame said, still grinning. Itachi closed his eyes. We'll see. They came for Fu on a night when the moon was a sliver behind clouds and the village was sleeping with the false safety of walls and wards. 2 S-rank missing nin, moving through Konoha's perimeter defenses like smoke through a screen. Itachi's genjutsu disabled the outer sentries before they could raise an alarm. Kasame's water jutsu dampened the sensor network along the eastern wall. They entered the village with the practiced efficiency of men who had infiltrated harder targets. Naruto was awake. He was always awake when things moved toward her. The awareness lived in a place deeper than chakra sense or combat instinct. It was the awareness of someone who had lost the person who mattered most and had spent the centuries afterward developing an ability to feel threat vectors toward anyone he refused to lose again. He felt them at the wall. 2 signatures, one vast and watery, the other sharp and suffocating. He kissed the top of Fu's head. She was sleeping on their rooftop, wings spread, murmuring about beetles, and vanished. 0 sign. He ceased to exist. The market district was empty at this hour. Stalls shuttered, streets bare, lamplight pooling on cobblestones. Itachi and Kasame moved through it in formation. Kasame leading, Samehada on his back and hungry, Itachi trailing with his Sharingan sweeping every shadow. The Jinchuriki's apartment is 2 blocks north, Kasame said. The Seven Tails first, then... She's on a rooftop, Itachi corrected, his voice flat. The Nine Tails Jinchuriki is with her. Even better. 2 for 1. They turned a corner. Naruto was standing in the middle of the street. Except he wasn't. He was still in 0 sign. They couldn't see him. They couldn't sense him. Itachi's Sharingan, the most advanced visual dojutsu in the world, swept the street and found nothing. No chakra, no body heat, no displaced air. Something wrong, Itachi-san? Kisame asked, noticing his partner had stopped. No, keep moving. They walked forward. They walked past the spot where Naruto was standing. And that was when 0 sign dropped and he was there behind them, close enough to touch. Physical hunt. Naruto's hand passed through Kisame's back and into his chest. The movement was fast, faster than Samehada could react, faster than Kasame could turn. Fingers found organ. They wrapped around something vital, deep in the chest cavity. They didn't pull. They squeezed just enough to make the point. Kasame froze. Every muscle in the massive swordsman's body locked. He felt the hand inside him. He felt the fingers around something he needed to keep living. His shark-like eyes went very wide. Don't move, Fishman, Naruto said from behind him, his voice light and sing-song and completely at odds with the hand buried in Kasame's torso. "I'm only holding this to make sure you listen." Itachi turned, the Sharingan blazed, the Tomoe merged, Mangekyo Sharingan activated, the kaleidoscope pattern that marked Itachi as something beyond an ordinary Uchiha. Amaterasu. Black fire erupted across Naruto's body. The flames of the sun goddess, born from the Mangekyo, consuming everything they touched, burning at temperatures beyond measurement, unstoppable by any known technique. They covered Naruto from head to toe in an instant, turning him into a pillar of black flame. He stood in them. His skin charred, his jacket ignited, his hair turned to ash. The flesh on his left arm blackened and peeled away, revealing muscle, then bone, then nothing, as the Amaterasu consumed everything. He grinned through the fire. His teeth were the last thing visible before the flames covered his face. Then the regeneration kicked in. New skin grew beneath the fire. New muscle over new bone. New flesh pushing upward through the Amaterasu like grass through a volcano's aftermath. The black flames burned it. It grew back. The flames burned the new growth. It grew back again. An endless cycle. Destruction and creation in the same body. The Amaterasu meeting something it had never encountered. A target that healed faster than it could burn. The flames ran out. They always ran out. Even Amaterasu required chakra, required the eye's power, and Itachi's eyes were already damaged from years of use. The black fire sputtered and died as the regeneration simply outlasted it. Naruto stood in the street. His jacket was ash. His skin was new and unmarked. His hair had regrown. His crimson eyes were fixed on Itachi with an expression that mixed amusement and something colder underneath. Nice fire. Good heat. I'd give it a 7. His hand was still inside Kisame. Got anything else? Itachi's Mangekyo spun. Tsukuyomi. The world inverted. Naruto felt the genjutsu slam into his consciousness like a door being kicked in. The Tsukuyomi, the most powerful genjutsu in existence, a technique that compressed 72 hours of experience into a single second, that could break minds and shatter wills and leave its victims catatonic. It pulled Naruto into the red and black world of the Tsukuyomi's inner space. Itachi stood before him, master of this realm, able to reshape reality within it at will. "Here, I control everything," Itachi said. His voice echoed. Time, space, pain, 72 hours of... Naruto was sitting on the ground, cross-legged. He'd found a rock in the Tsukuyomi's void and was leaning against it like it was a backrest. 72 hours? He yawned. I once spent 3 centuries in a place worse than this. You're gonna have to try harder than a bad dream, Uchiha. The Tsukuyomi shook. The fabric of the genjutsu trembled, because this was a technique that broke people by showing them unbearable things, and the soul inside Naruto Uzumaki had already borne everything. Every possible pain, every possible loss. It had walked through purgatory. It had watched the love of its existence die and had torn the world apart trying to undo it. There was nothing left for the Tsukuyomi to leverage. Naruto stood up in the genjutsu space. He walked toward Itachi. Each step cracked the red and black sky. Each step made the Tsukuyomi's architecture buckle. Your technique breaks people by overwhelming them. He was close now, crimson eyes burning into the Mangekyo. The problem is, I can't be overwhelmed. I've already survived everything. Your worst nightmare is my average morning. He flicked Itachi's forehead. The Tsukuyomi collapsed. Reality reassembled. The street. The night. Kasame, still frozen with a hand in his chest. Itachi stumbling, blood running from his Mangekyo eyes. The cost of the technique plus the cost of having it broken by brute existential force. Naruto removed his hand from Kasame's chest. He let the swordsman stagger forward. He hadn't removed anything. The organs were intact. The message was the point. He faced Itachi. The Uchiha was breathing hard. His eyes were bleeding. His face, the face of a man who had massacred his clan for the greater good and carried the weight alone, held something new. You're the brother thing, right? That Sasuke keeps crying about? Itachi was still. The bleeding eyes watched Naruto with an intensity that had nothing to do with combat. I'm here to tell you something. Naruto's voice dropped the sing-song. What replaced it was flat, final, the voice of something that had made promises before and kept every single one. If you or the shark come within range of her again, I'll rip both your hearts out and lose them somewhere inconvenient. And I mean that in the most literal way possible. Silence. The night held its breath. "We understand each other?" Itachi studied him. The Mangekyo Sharingan, bleeding, strained, dying slowly with each use, saw more than jutsu and chakra. It saw the shape of things, and the shape of what stood before Itachi Uchiha was something the genius had never encountered in a lifetime of encountering everything. A wall with no top, a sea with no floor, a being that existed outside the framework of threat assessment because it could not be threatened. "Kisame," Itachi said. "Yeah?" The swordsman's voice was strained. "We're leaving." "Itachi-san." We're leaving." Itachi picked up his partner's stumbling form. He met Naruto's eyes one final time. Something passed between them. Recognition? Maybe. An acknowledgement between two people who had each, in their own way, burned everything for the sake of someone they loved. They vanished. The street was empty again. Naruto stood in it, shirtless. The jacket was gone, burned to nothing by Amaterasu, and looked at the moon for a long time. Then he went home, stole a new jacket from a shop that was closed for the night, and climbed back onto the rooftop where Fu was sleeping. She'd rolled onto his spot in his absence, her wings spread across where he usually sat. He moved her carefully, settled back into position, and closed his eyes. In the morning, she found black ash in his hair. "You were out last night," she said. "Went for a walk." Liar. Always. She picked the ash from his hair with careful fingers. She didn't ask where the old jacket went. He was already wearing a new one. She studied him with those orange eyes that saw more than he gave them credit for. "You keep doing things for me without telling me," she said. "I keep doing whatever I feel like, which happens to always be keeping me safe." He was silent. She put her hand on his arm, the same way she'd done in the land of waterfalls the first time. The same gesture, unasked, unearned, simply given because she decided it belonged there. "Thank you," she said. "I'm hungry mostly," he said, standing. "Let's go eat." She smiled. She followed. She always followed, and he always let her, and that was the language they spoke. Months passed. Missions resumed. Team 7 operated with a new configuration. Naruto as the immovable center, Sasuke as the blade, Sakura as the healer, Kakashi as the strategist, who was constantly 3 steps behind his own student. The Akatsuki continued to hunt. Jinchuriki fell. The 2 tails, captured. The 3 tails, taken. Each loss was a tremor felt across the shinobi world, and the tremors were getting closer. Then the sky above Konoha turned black. The 6 paths of pain descended on the village like divine judgment wearing a man's face. 6 bodies, 6 Rinnegan. Each one a puppet controlled by a corpse-thin man named Nato from a tower miles away, channeling the power of the greatest dojutsu in existence through dead vessels filled with black receivers and purpose. The Deva path stood at the center. Orange hair, Rinnegan spirals. The face of a dead man named Yahiko worn like a mask over God's will. He raised his hand. Shinra Tensei. The village broke. The push erupted from the Deva path's palm. Gravitational repulsion on a scale that defied physics. A force that didn't care about walls or buildings or the people inside them. Konoha, buildings, the streets, the monuments and markets and homes, was pushed outward from the center like a sandcastle hit by a wave. The Hokage Tower crumbled. The market district flattened. The residential blocks disintegrated. A sphere of destruction expanded from the point of impact, turning a village into a crater. And when the dust settled, Konoha was a dish-shaped ruin with 6 figures standing at its center. People screamed. Ninja mobilized. The wounded were carried. The dead were counted, and the number rose by the second. Fu was in the air. She deployed her wings the instant the first explosion hit. The 7 tails chakra surging around her in a halo of teal energy. Chomei hummed inside her, a Beatles war song, vast and buzzing, filling Fu's limbs with power that turned the sky into her battlefield. The animal path summons appeared below. A giant multi-headed dog, a charging rhino, a bird with a wingspan that blocked the sun. They crashed through the evacuation routes where civilians were running. Fu dove. Teal chakra condensed into a sphere between her palms. She hurled it at the dog summon, and the impact detonated like a bomb, scattering the creature into smoke. She spun, wings cutting the air, and drove a 7 tails enhanced kick into the rhino's skull. It crashed sideways, clearing the evacuation path. "Keep moving!" she screamed at the civilians below. "Get to the shelters! Go!" She was a hurricane in the sky, green hair streaming, wings blazing, fighting the summoned beasts with everything her tailed beast gave her. She held the evacuation routes open through force and fury and the sheer refusal to let anything past her. Below, in the crater that used to be Konoha's center, Naruto walked. He walked out of the rubble of a building he'd been standing in when the Shinra Tensei hit. The building was gone. The block was gone. His jacket was dusty. He brushed it off. All 6 paths of pain turned to face him. The Deva path spoke. Nagato's voice, amplified, resonant, carrying the conviction of a man who had turned his suffering into a theology. The 9 Tails Jinchuriki. I've been looking for you. I've been right here. Naruto stopped walking. He stood in the center of the crater, a 15-year-old in a red jacket, crimson eyes scanning 6 bodies with the Rinnegan. You the one who just flattened my village? This is God's judgment, Konoha, the source of so much of the world's pain. This village created the hatred that consumed everything it touched. The cycle of violence begins and ends here. Big speech. Naruto tilted his head. But you killed a lot of people who never hurt anyone, and you did it to make a point. His grin vanished. His voice flattened. The sing-song evaporated. I don't like people who make points with bodies. The Asura path attacked first. Mechanical body, weaponized, missiles and blades erupting from its modified frame. It charged at Naruto with the speed of a launched projectile. Fox hunt. The whip of red energy cracked from Naruto's palm and lashed across the Asura path's torso. Both arms, the mechanical, missile-launching, blade-hidden arms, separated from the body and spun away. The path's torso crumbled. It hit the ground in 3 pieces. The human path came next, the one that could extract souls through physical contact. It lunged with its hand extended, the Rinnegan fixed on Naruto's forehead, reaching for the seed of consciousness. Naruto reached faster. Physical hunt. His hand entered the human path's chest. His fingers found the black receiver rods, the chakra conductors that connected this corpse to Nagato's control signal. He ripped them out. All 6 rods pulled through the body's chest and out the back in a spray of disrupted energy. The human path collapsed, a puppet with its strings cut. That's 2. The animal path attempted a summoning. Its hands hit the ground and the summoning circle spread. Naruto was there before the smoke finished forming. Crazy rush. The invisible barrage, fists, elbows, knees, movements too fast for the Rinnegan to track individually, hit the animal path from every angle simultaneously. The body launched upward, hit the peak of its arc, and came down as a broken marionette. The summoning failed. The hungry ghost path stepped forward. The absorber, the one that could drink any ninjutsu, any chakra-based technique, and nullify it through its palms. It planted itself between Naruto and the remaining paths. Naruto looked at it. He grinned. You absorb chakra, right? Good trick. He walked toward it. Problem is, I'm about to hit you with something that has nothing to do with chakra. Snatch. The hungry ghost path's physical strength left its body. The absorption required standing, required the physical capacity to hold position and channel incoming energy. Without muscle function, it crumpled. Naruto stepped over it. The Naraka path, the one that could restore the others, heal them, pull them back from destruction, began its restoration technique. The King of Hell manifesting beneath the ground, its massive face emerging to swallow and regurgitate the damaged paths. Fox hunt. The energy whip cracked downward into the ground. It hit the King of Hell summon at the jaw, and the impact was enough to destabilize the restoration. The Naraka path's connection to its summoning broke. The King of Hell sank back into the earth, incomplete, and the Naraka path itself took the follow-up, a single kick from Naruto that launched it clear across the crater, 5 paths down. The Deva path stood alone. Nagato's strongest vessel, the one with gravitational control, the one that had leveled Konoha with a single technique. It looked at Naruto through Rinnegan eyes that had watched him dismantle 5 bodies in under 2 minutes. Impressive, the Deva path said, Nagato's voice carrying something new, something that might have been respect. You fight without chakra techniques. Your abilities operate outside the standard framework. I've never encountered anything like it. I've lived longer than your entire bloodline, Naruto said, walking forward. You're cute for trying. Shinra Tensei. The gravitational push erupted. The same force that had flattened the village, targeted now, focused, driven at a single person. The air between Naruto and the Deva path became a wall of invisible force. Naruto's body stopped. His feet slid backward on the rubble. The push pressed against his chest like the hand of a giant. He leaned into it. Hunter Fest. Maximum range. Maximum output. The drain erupted outward, reaching for everything physical within 100 meters. The Deva path staggered. The body's muscles weakened. Its stance faltered. The Shinra Tensei required the body to remain upright and channeling. The drain compromised both. The gravitational push flickered. Naruto surged forward. He reached the Deva path. His hand closed around the path's face. "The real one," Naruto said, looking into those spiral eyes from inches away. "Where is he?" The Deva path smiled. Nagato's smile channeled through dead lips. Close. Naruto felt it. The chakra threads, thin, nearly invisible, running from the black receivers in the Deva path's body outward, through the air across the village beyond the walls. He followed them with a sense that had nothing to do with eyes or ears. He followed the thread like a hunter following a scent. Zero sign. He followed the threads through ruined streets and over broken walls and across a landscape that bore the scars of divine arrogance. He moved through the world without the world knowing he was there, invisible, undetectable, a void in human shape tracking a signal to its source. He found the tree, a massive paper tree grown from origami jutsu, hidden in a valley outside the village. Inside, a chamber. Inside the chamber, a machine of black receivers and pale flesh, Nagato, the real one, the body behind the paths. A man, if you could still call him that, strapped into a walking throne of black metal rods, his body wasted to the point of translucence. His skin was gray, his hair was red. His Rinnegan eyes, the real ones, the originals, stared at nothing and everything. Conan stood beside him. The woman made of paper, guardian and partner, the last surviving member of a trio that had once dreamed of changing the world without destroying it. Naruto dropped zero sign. He appeared in the chamber like he'd always been there. Conan reacted instantly. Paper shuriken forming, a defensive barrier rising. Naruto didn't move. He looked past her at Nagato. "I could have killed you at any point in the last 2 minutes," Naruto said. His voice was even. The grin was absent. "I traced your threads before your Deva path finished talking. I followed them here while you were monologuing about God." Nagato's Rinnegan focused on him. The eyes held everything the man had been. Student, orphan, dreamer, weapon, god, monster, all of it compressed into 2 concentric circles that saw the truth of things. "Then why didn't you?" Nagato asked. His voice was thin, tired, the voice of a man who had been carrying a world on a broken spine. "Because killing you doesn't fix anything." Naruto sat down, cross-legged, on the floor of the chamber like he was settling in for a conversation. "I've killed a lot of people, Nagato, in this life and the one before it. And you know what I learned?" He looked up at the emaciated god in his throne. "Dead men don't change their minds. Living ones sometimes do. You know nothing of my pain." Nagato's voice cracked. The Rinnegan blazed. "You know nothing of what this world took from me. My parents, my friends, my body, my dreams. Everything I loved was destroyed by the violence that this system breeds. Konoha, your village, is the beating heart of that violence. Yeah, it is." Naruto didn't argue. His crimson eyes held Nagato's without flinching. "Konoha is a mess. The system is broken. People use power to hurt people who don't have any, and the people who get hurt either die or become the next ones doing the hurting. I know. I've watched that cycle play out for longer than you can imagine. Then you understand why. I understand why you think flattening a city is an answer. And you're wrong. You're wrong because I've seen what comes after the flattening. It's the same thing. New buildings, new hate, new cycle. You can push the world into a crater, Nagato. It'll climb back out and keep being exactly what it was." Nagato stared at him. The Rinnegan trembled. "Then what?" The word tore out of the emaciated man's chest like a blade. "What is the answer? I don't have one." Naruto's honesty was brutal in its simplicity. "I'm 1,000 years old and I've never figured out how to fix the world. I don't think anyone can. But I know what doesn't work, and what you did today, the bodies in that crater, the children who died in buildings that fell, that doesn't work. That's just pain making more of itself." Conan's paper barrier lowered, inch by inch. She was watching the exchange with eyes that held something dangerous. Hope. The kind of hope she'd buried years ago. Jiraiya believed it could change, Nagato whispered. Their teacher, the man who'd believed in them. He believed, and he was wrong. Maybe. Or maybe he was right and he just picked the wrong students. Naruto's grin flickered, half there, a ghost of itself. Or maybe he was right and the students are still figuring it out. The silence stretched. Nagato breathed. The chamber breathed with him, paper walls expanding and contracting like lungs. Then Nagato closed his eyes. Samsara of heavenly life technique. The Rinnegan pulsed. A wave of energy, warm, vast, golden, erupted from Nagato's body and expanded outward. It passed through the chamber walls and into the sky and across the ruined village and into every body that had been killed in the assault. Hearts restarted. Lungs inflated. Eyes opened. Across the crater of Konoha, the dead sat up and breathed and wondered what had happened and why they were lying in rubble. The paths collapsed simultaneously, their black receivers dying as Nagato's life force, every last ounce of it, poured into the resurrection technique. In the chamber, Nagato's body went limp. His skin went from gray to white. His Rinnegan eyes dimmed, the spiral patterns fading like lights going out in a house. Tell Jiraiya. Nagato's voice was a whisper. Tell him. I chose correctly. At the end. Naruto watched him go. He watched the light leave those impossible eyes. He watched a man who had called himself God die doing the only thing that gods are supposed to do. Give life instead of taking it. Yeah, Naruto said to the empty chamber. You did. Konan gathered Nagato's body. She looked at Naruto with amber eyes that were wet and fierce. He was the best of us, she said. I know. Will you remember him? I remember everyone. It's the curse of living too long. She left. She took Nagato and the bodies of the 6 paths and vanished into the paper tree. Naruto sat in the empty chamber for a moment longer, looking at the spot where a god had sat and chosen to be human at the very end. Then he stood up and went home. Konoha was rubble. The village was a crater with living people in it. The buildings were gone, but the dead had been returned, and that trade, stone for souls, was one that every person standing in the wreckage would have made. Fu found him at the crater's edge. She was battered. The Seven Tails chakra had burned through her reserves holding the evacuation routes, and her wings flickered weakly at her shoulders. Burns marked her arms. A cut on her forehead bled freely. She'd fought for hours without stopping. She ran to him. She hit him in the chest with her fist. Once, hard. I knew you were fine, she said. Her voice was trembling. I knew it. I knew. Don't. He put one hand on top of her head. Don't do that. She looked up. Don't run toward the sounds. Let me come to you. She stared at him. Green hair wild, orange eyes burning, wings half spread, shaking with exhaustion and adrenaline, and something else that she'd been carrying since the first explosion. You never say what you mean, she said. I mean exactly what I say. She kissed him. It was fast, fierce, and gone before either of them could reclassify it. She pulled back, face flushed, chin up, daring him to say something. Her wings had fully deployed without her noticing, orange-teal chakra shimmering around her shoulders. He looked at her for a long time. Something vast and golden and ancient moved behind his crimson eyes. Something that had been searching for something for a very long time and was seeing it clearly for the first time. Then he put his hand on her cheek. I've been looking for you, he said. The drawl was gone. The sing-song was gone. What remained was the voice underneath all of it. The real one, the one from before the armor and the grin and the centuries of acting like nothing mattered. I didn't know I was, but I have been for a very long time. She blinked. Her orange eyes went wide and wet. He dropped his hand. The grin slid back into place. Also, your wing is touching my face. She squawked. The wing retracted. He walked away. She followed. Around them, people climbed out of rubble and looked at the sky like they were seeing it for the first time. Konoha rebuilt. It always did. The cranes went up before the dust settled, and the hammering started before the funeral pyres cooled. A village made of willpower and stubbornness and the specific kind of insanity that makes people rebuild in the same spot where disaster just struck. But the world outside the walls was moving faster than the hammers. Kabuto Yakushi. Orochimaru's former assistant, now something worse, emerged from whatever hole he'd been hiding in. The Snake Sage's research had been absorbed, internalized, improved. Kabuto had mastered the sage mode of Ryuchi Cave. his body carrying reptilian scales and slitted eyes and a coldness that went deeper than temperature. And he'd learned the Edo Tensei, the reanimation jutsu, Tobirama Senju's forbidden technique, the ability to recall the dead from the Pure Land and bind them in undying bodies that could fight forever. Kabuto had perfected it beyond its creator's wildest projections. He had an army. Every legendary shinobi who had ever died was a potential soldier, pulled from death and wrapped in a body that regenerated from every wound and could never be destroyed, only sealed. Kabuto offered this army to a man in a mask, Tobi, the leader behind the leaders, the one who claimed to be Madara Uchiha. A single Sharingan behind an orange spiral mask, a voice that had orchestrated the Akatsuki's movements for a decade, and a plan that stretched back further than any living person suspected. Their alliance was simple. Kabuto provided the army. Tobi provided the target. Together, they would capture the remaining tailed beasts, revive the 10 tails, and cast the infinite Tsukuyomi, the ultimate genjutsu, a world-spanning illusion that would trap every human being in a dream forever. The Fourth Shinobi World War began with a declaration. The 5 great nations united for the first time in history. The Shinobi Alliance, Leaf, Sand, Stone, Mist, Cloud, assembled the largest military force the world had ever seen. 80,000 shinobi, organized into divisions led by the Kage. Naruto was assigned to stay out of it. Too dangerous, Tsunade said, arms crossed behind her desk. If you're captured, they get the 9 tails. The war is lost. Grandma Hokage, I've lived longer than every person in this alliance combined. I can't be captured. I can't be held. I can't be killed. He leaned against the wall. And you want me to hide? I want you to be strategic. I want ramen. We don't always get what we want. He straightened up. I'm going. Try to stop me and I'll steal your psychic collection on the way out. He went. But first he met Tobi. The masked man found him, or rather appeared to him, in the forest outside the village on the night before deployment. Tobi stepped out of a spatial distortion, the air warping around his body like water around a stone. The single Sharingan behind the mask glowed. Naruto Uzumaki. The voice was deep, distorted. The undead fox, I've heard so much about you. And you're the guy who keeps wearing a mask to meetings. Rude. Tobi attacked. His hand reached for Naruto's chest. Not to strike, but to activate Kamui, the space-time jutsu that could warp matter into another dimension. Contact was all he needed. Naruto sidestepped. Tobi flowed after him, his body phasing through reality, intangible, untouchable. A kunai passed through his head. A kick passed through his torso. He existed and didn't exist simultaneously, a ghost with a god's eye. You can't hit what isn't solid, Tobi said. And you can't grab what isn't there. Zero sign. Naruto ceased to exist. Tobi's Sharingan swept the clearing. Kamui required a target, a visual lock, a spatial coordinate, something to grab and pull. The Sharingan found nothing. The clearing was empty. Tobi stood alone in a forest that had swallowed his opponent. 1 second. 2. Hunter Fest. The drain hit from nowhere. Tobi's body, the real physical body beneath the intangibility, weakened. His muscles failed. The chakra that powered the Kamui required physical energy as fuel, and that fuel was being pulled from him by something he couldn't see or target or counter. His intangibility flickered. A gap appeared, a fraction of a second where his body was solid. Naruto was there. Physical hunt. His hand entered Tobi's chest. The fingers found the heart. They wrapped around it. They held. Tobi materialized fully, the intangibility forced offline by the hand inside his ribcage. His Sharingan went wide behind the mask. I can feel it, Naruto said, standing with his arm buried in the masked man's chest, beating. Faster now. You're scared. Tobi was very still. I could take this. Naruto's fingers tightened fractionally. Right now. And everything you've planned, everything you've built, every manipulation and every puppet, it all ends because a kid in a red jacket decided to close his fist. Silence. The forest held its breath for the second time that week. Next time I'm keeping it, Naruto said. He withdrew his hand. Clean, empty, the heart still in Tobi's chest. The masked man staggered backward, his Kamui reigniting, wrapping him in spatial distortion. The mask had cracked. A single fracture line from chin to forehead. Behind it, one eye, a Sharingan. But more than that, an eye that had seen too much loss and made too many wrong choices in response to it. The eye of a man who was already drowning and had decided to take the world with him. "You are something I did not anticipate," Toby said. "I get that a lot." Toby vanished. The spatial distortion collapsed. The clearing was empty. Naruto looked at his hand. He flexed his fingers. Clean. He let the heart stay where it was because killing wasn't always the answer, and because somewhere, buried under that mask and that madness, was a person whose story he hadn't heard yet. He'd hear it soon enough. The war erupted. 80,000 Alliance shinobi versus 100,000 Edo Tensei reanimations, backed by the remaining Akatsuki and an army of white Zetsu clones that emerged from the earth like a fungal plague. Naruto moved through the battlefield like a natural disaster that happened to wear a red jacket. The Edo Tensei were a logistical problem. Undead warriors who regenerated from every wound, who couldn't be killed, only sealed. The Alliance's sealing teams were spread thin, their work slow and painstaking. For every reanimation sealed, 3 more emerged. The numbers were suffocating. Hunterfest. The drain erupted across a section of battlefield the size of a city block. Every Edo Tensei body within range staggered. Their physical strength, the muscle memory and power stored in their reanimated flesh, vanished. They dropped, limbs useless, still animate but unable to move, unable to fight, unable to do anything except lie on the ground and wait for the sealing teams. "Over here," Naruto shouted at the nearest sealing squad. "I've drained them. You've got about 10 minutes before the jutsu restores their strength. Seal fast." The squad moved. 12 reanimations sealed in 4 minutes. Naruto moved to the next block. He did this across the entire Eastern Front, moving, draining, creating windows for the sealing teams. He wasn't killing the undead. He couldn't and didn't need to. He was turning the Edo Tensei army's greatest advantage, their inability to die, into a liability. Without physical strength, they were just corpses lying in the mud. Easy targets for seals. By nightfall of the first day, the Eastern Front's Edo Tensei population had been reduced by 60%. The Alliance commander stared at the reports. "One person," the Raikage said, his massive arms crossed. "One person cleared 60% of the Eastern Front. He's been like this since he was 12, Kakashi said from his position at the communication tent. "Why didn't you deploy him sooner?" "We tried to keep him hidden. He left on his own." The Raikage was silent. Then, "Remind me to never get on that kid's bad side." Across the battlefield, Sasuke fought his own war. The Uchiha had entered the conflict separately, arriving with intelligence about Kabuto's hiding location gleaned from months of independent investigation. His Sharingan, fully matured, the Mangekyo unlocked through loss and willpower rather than tragedy, blazed as he moved through white Zetsu clones with the devastating efficiency of a blade that knew its purpose. He and Naruto crossed paths on the second day. "Still alive," Sasuke said, cutting down a Zetsu without looking. "Still unable to die," Naruto replied, punching through another. "Show off. You love it. I tolerate it." They fought back to back for 17 minutes. It was the first time they'd operated as a unit since the Bell test. It was also the most efficient 17 minutes in the history of the Alliance. 2 monsters working in sync, one stealing strength and the other cutting through what remained. The white Zetsu in that sector ceased to exist as a combat force. Fu fought in the aerial division. Her wings carried her above the battlefield, Chomei's chakra wrapping her in a cocoon of teal energy that turned her into a living bomber. She dropped Seven-Tails chakra spheres on Zetsu formations and disrupted enemy supply lines and served as air support for ground divisions that were being overrun. She was brilliant at it. Reckless, loud, laughing while she fought. Exactly the way she'd always been. She pulled injured shinobi out of collapsing formations and carried them to medical tents and went right back for more. She earned a nickname from the Alliance troops, the Lucky Seven. Naruto tracked her across the battlefield without ever being in the same sector. He felt her chakra signature like a heartbeat, constant, alive, moving. As long as it kept moving, he could focus. It kept moving. Madara Uchiha arrived on the 3rd day, and the war changed. Kabuto's masterwork, the Edo Tensei reanimation of the legendary founder. The real Madara, the man who had fought Hashirama Senju at the Valley of the End and reshaped the world through the force of his will. He materialized on the battlefield in Edo Tensei form, his body wrapped in the technique's gray skin immortality, his Rinnegan blazing. He looked at the army arrayed against him. He smiled. Is this the best this era has to offer? His voice rolled across the battlefield like thunder. Pathetic. He summoned the perfect Susanoo. The armored giant materialized around him, 100 meters of ethereal warrior. Its blade the size of a mountain ridge, its presence a shadow that fell across the entire division. The 5 Kage engaged him. Tsunade, super strength active, her fists cratering the ground with each missed swing. Gaara, sand rising in waves, trying to contain Susanoo's movement. The Raikage, lightning armor blazing, speed beyond tracking. The Mizukage, lava and mist and jutsu combinations that would have killed anything mortal. The Tsuchikage, dust release, the ability to atomize matter at the molecular level. 5 Kage, the strongest shinobi in the world, representing 5 nations. They were losing. Madara fought them the way a grown man fights children. His Susanoo swatted aside Gaara's sand like cobwebs. His limbo clones, invisible, existing in a parallel dimension, undetectable by any standard sense, struck the Kage from angles they couldn't see or predict. He countered the Raikage's speed with the Rinnegan's predictive sight. He absorbed the Tsuchikage's dust release through the Hungry Ghost technique. He was playing. Naruto arrived. He walked onto the Kage's battlefield from the eastern flank, stepping over debris and unconscious alliance troops. His red jacket was stained with the residue of 3 days of continuous combat. His crimson eyes found the 100-meter Susanoo and looked up at it the way someone looks up at a tall building. Madara's Rinnegan found him. The concentric circles focused. The dojutsu that saw everything, chakra, pathways, connections, the fabric of reality itself, looked at Naruto Uzumaki and saw something it could identify only in the broadest terms, a body that burned with an energy older than chakra. Cells that regenerated from a source the Rinnegan couldn't trace. Physical parameters that exceeded anything in Madara's considerable experience. And beneath all of it, layered under the chakra and the flesh, something golden and immortal that simply should not exist. Interesting, Madara said, and for the first time in decades, he meant it. The perfect Susanoo's blade swung, a horizontal sweep that carried enough force to split a mountain range. The air displacement alone knocked Gaara off his sand platform. The blade hit Naruto. His body separated. Upper half from lower half, same as Zabuza's clone had done years ago. Blood sprayed across the battlefield. His upper half caught the ground with one hand. His lower half slid back toward the upper. Flesh met flesh. Bone fused. Skin sealed. He stood whole and grinned up at the 100-meter armored giant. "Your Susanoo is impressive," he said, getting to his feet with half his body still finishing the reformation. "That tickled a bit. Maybe a 5 out of 10. Madara stared. The Rinnegan widened. Then he did something he'd done with almost no one since Hashirama. He smiled. A real smile, broad and fierce and alive with the joy of a warrior who had spent decades waiting for something worth his attention. "You might actually be worth fighting," Madara said. "See, that's where you're wrong." Naruto stretched, his body completing its reformation with a final crack of settling bone. "You're a million years too early to fight me." Hunterfest. The drain erupted across the battlefield. Maximum range. Everything within 100 meters, Susanoo included. The Limbo clones were the first to feel it. Existing in their parallel dimension, physical entities in their own right, they weakened. The drain crossed the barrier between dimensions because Snatch operated on a level that didn't respect the geography of planes. It reached for physical strength wherever physical strength existed. Regardless of what reality it occupied, Naruto felt them through the drain. 3 Limbo clones positioned at triangle points around the Kage. He tracked them through the energy signatures like threads being pulled. Fox hunt. The whip energy lashed outward, 3 times, 3 directions, cracking into the Limbo dimension blind. Each lash found a clone. Each clone was dragged, screaming and visible for the first time, from the parallel plane into the real one. They materialized as gray outlines, weakened, stripped of the stealth that made them lethal. Gaara's sand consumed them before they could recover. Madara's Susanoo weakened. The armored giant flickered as its physical foundation, the strength that maintained its manifestation, was drained. The blade lowered. The armor thinned. Naruto jumped. One leap, ground to Susanoo's face. 100 meters of vertical distance covered in a single bound, powered by stolen strength and centuries of muscle memory. He reached the armored giant's head and drove his fist into the Suzunu's forehead. Banishing kill. The full power strike, enhanced by everything Hunterfest had gathered. The impact blew a hole through the Suzunu's head. Ethereal armor cracked and dissolved. The giant toppled, its structural integrity compromised, and Madara fell with it. The Edo Tensei body hit the ground and cratered it. It began reforming immediately. The reanimation technique rebuilding what was broken. Naruto landed beside the reforming body. You can regenerate. I can regenerate. The difference is, he reached down and pressed his palm against Madara's reforming chest. Snatch. The Edo Tensei's rebuilding process stuttered. The physical energy that powered the reanimation's regeneration was being stolen as fast as it was produced. Madara's body flickered between whole and broken, caught in a loop. The technique trying to restore what Naruto kept taking. I'm faster at it. The 5 Kage moved. The window Naruto had created, the Suzuki down, the Limbo clones eliminated, Madara's regeneration stalled, was everything they needed. Gaara's sand wrapped the destabilized body. Tsunade's sealing jutsu locked the layers. The Tsuchikage's dust release erased the physical components that kept breaking free. The emergency containment array closed around Madara's Edo Tensei form. For a moment, it held. That won't last, Naruto said, looking at the sealed form. He's too strong for that. Buy time, and I'll handle what comes next. The Kage stared at the 15-year-old who had just destabilized the greatest warrior in shinobi history. Raccoon boy, Naruto said, looking at Gaara. Hold it together, literally. I am, Gaara said, sand straining against the seal. But behind the effort, his teal eyes held something warm. Your advice continues to be surprisingly useful. Stop telling people that. Naruto moved on. The war continued. Obito's mask broke on the afternoon of the 3rd day. Kakashi was the one who broke it. A Kamui-enhanced kunai, thrown through the dimensional gap that Obito's own technique created, striking the mask at the fracture line Naruto had already put there. The mask split, fell away. And beneath it, a face. Kakashi saw it first. One eye, scarred. One eye, Sharingan, spinning with the madness of a man who had watched the love of his life die and decided the world wasn't worth living in. Obito, Kakashi said one word. His voice cracked on it. One word that carried 30 years of grief and guilt and the specific torture of mourning someone who turned out to be alive and worse than dead. Obito looked at his old friend through an eye that had once been kind. You're too late, Kakashi. You were always too late. The Ten Tails had been revived. Obito had planned for this. The massive primordial beast, ancestor of all tailed beasts, the living embodiment of the God Tree's power. It erupted from the earth behind the battlefield. A monster the size of a mountain range, 10 tails whipping the sky, a single eye staring at the world with the hunger of something that had been imprisoned since the dawn of the age. Obito merged with it. The transformation was horrific. The 10 tails' flesh consumed him, wrapped him, rebuilt him. When it finished, Obito stood at the center of the beast's body. A demigod, wreathed in white chakra, truth-seeking balls orbiting him like moons. Each ball was composed of all 5 chakra natures plus yin-yang release, and they nullified everything they touched. Jutsu, weapons, barriers, all reduced to nothing on contact. The Alliance's attacks bounced off. Hundreds of jutsu hit the truth-seeking balls and evaporated. The Ten Tails' body shrugged off bombardments that would have leveled mountains. Obito floated above the devastation. His single Rinnegan, taken from Nagato's corpse, implanted, blazing, surveyed the battlefield. This world is a lie, Obito said. His voice carried across the war zone like a funeral dirge. The infinite Tsukuyomi will create a world without lies, without loss, without pain. No one will ever watch the person they love die again. Naruto stood below. He looked up at the demigod. That's a pretty dream, Masked Man. He cracked his knuckles. But you're going about it wrong. Obito descended. The truth-seeking balls spread, forming a defensive sphere. He reached for Naruto with a hand wrapped in Ten Tails' chakra. Naruto reached back. Physical hunt. His hand passed through the truth-seeking ball. Through it, the ball didn't burn his hand because it nullified chakra natures. And physical hunt used none. Snatch operated outside the chakra nature framework entirely. It was a fundamental force, older than ninjutsu, imported from another world where chakra didn't exist. His fingers closed around Obito's forearm. Obito stared at the hand. What? You're thinking about it wrong. Naruto's grip tightened. Those balls erase chakra natures, I know. Very impressive. But I'm using something else, something your balls can't touch. Snatch. Obito's Ten Tails power was massive. The physical component of it, the raw, brute strength that came from merging with the primordial beast, was larger than anything Naruto had ever drained. It was an ocean, a planet of force. He drank it. Hunterfest. Maximum. Beyond maximum. The drain erupted from his body in all directions, pulling at the Ten Tails' physical reserves through his contact with Obito. The beast screamed, a sound that shook the sky and made the earth tremble. Its body weakened, its tails dropped. The overwhelming presence that had been crushing the Alliance's morale contracted. Naruto's body swelled with the stolen force. His muscles expanded to a degree that was almost grotesque, corded, dense, pulsing with power that turned the air around him into a visible distortion. He was massive. He was glowing with stolen might. He ripped Obito out of the Ten Tails. Physically. His hands grabbed the demigod's body and pulled. It was like pulling a cork from a bottle the size of a mountain. The Ten Tails' flesh clung to its host, resisted, tried to hold on. Naruto planted his feet on the beast's body and pulled harder. The Ten Tails screamed again. Obito screamed with it, the merging tearing in reverse, cells separating, the divine connection severing one strand at a time. Naruto pulled. The Ten Tails' body began collapsing behind them. The beast, separated from its host, losing coherence. Ten Tails thrashed. The mountain-sized body lurched. Banishing kill. Naruto released Obito with one hand and drove the other downward, fist first, into the Ten Tails' body. The impact, carrying the stolen power of the beast itself, detonated inside the creature's mass. The shockwave blew outward in every direction, a sphere of force that flattened everything within a mile. The Ten Tails' body collapsed, broke apart and began dissolving into dispersing chakra. Obito hit the ground. The white chakra was gone. The truth-seeking balls had winked out. The Rinnegan eye spun weakly. He was human again, broken, depleted, lying in the crater of a god's fall. Kakashi was there. He knelt beside what used to be his friend. Obito looked up at the face he'd grown up beside, the face he'd watched through a collapsed cave's gap, the face that belonged to the man who'd been given his eye and his trust and had lived while Obito burned. Kakashi, Obito said. A silence. I wanted to create a world where Rin was alive, Obito said. His voice was thin and distant. I know. Was that so wrong? Kakashi closed his visible eye. The wanting wasn't wrong. The method was. Obito's eye, the remaining one, the one that had started everything and ended everything, drifted to Naruto, who stood nearby, his body returning to its normal proportions as the stolen power dispersed. He did what I couldn't, Obito whispered. He lost someone, and he kept going without burning the world down. Some people are stronger than their grief, Kakashi said. Obito's eye closed. His breathing slowed. The medics arrived. He lived. That was more than he deserved and less than he needed, and both facts sat beside each other without reconciling. The containment on Madara broke. Naruto felt it from across the battlefield. A surge of chakra so massive it registered like an earthquake in the atmospheric pressure. The emergency seal burst. The sand cracked. The dust release barrier dissolved. Madara stood up in his original living body. He'd been restored through the Rin rebirth. The same technique Nagato had used in Konoha, but twisted, forced, channeled through Obito's Rinnegan before its power had fully depleted. Madara was alive, truly alive. His own flesh, his own blood, his own eyes, the Rinnegan reclaimed, sitting in the sockets of a man who had planned for this moment since before anyone currently alive was born. He had two Rinnegan now, both eyes restored, spinning with the full might of the Sage of Six Paths legacy. He looked at the moon. Infinite Tsukuyomi. The technique launched, a genjutsu the size of the world, the moon itself becoming the medium, reflecting the Rinnegan's light across the planet. Every human being on Earth would be caught. Every mind would be trapped in a dream of their own making. The world would sleep forever. The light descended. Zero sign. Naruto grabbed them. 4 people, Fu, Sasuke, Kakashi, Sakura, physically pulled into his erasure field in the fraction of a second before the light hit. His presence vanished. Their presence vanished with it, carried in the wake of a technique that made the world forget they existed. The infinite Tsukuyomi's light washed across the battlefield. Every alliance shinobi, every enemy combatant, every person for 1,000 miles dropped. Their eyes opened, blank, dreaming, caught in the genjutsu. White cocoons grew from the ground like fungal blooms, wrapping the dreamers in the god tree's embrace. 5 people stood in a world of sleeping bodies. Fu's wings flickered. Her orange eyes were wide. What happened to everyone? Genjutsu, Naruto said, moon-sized. Everyone's dreaming. Everyone? Everyone except us and him. Madara stood at the center of the battlefield. His Rinnegan blazed. He turned to face the 5 people who should have been in the dream. 4 of them looked exhausted and afraid. One of them had his hands in his pockets. Madara, Uzumaki. We doing this? I've been waiting for an opponent worth it. Flattering. The grin. You're still gonna lose. Madara's 6 paths power erupted. The ground beneath his feet cracked. The air bent. Reality itself protested the presence of a man operating at the apex of what the shinobi world had ever produced. Naruto walked toward him. Sasuke. He said it over his shoulder. This one's too much for me alone. Every head turned. Sasuke stared at Naruto's back. In all the years they'd known each other, through rivalry and hatred and the long, grudging road to something that functioned as mutual respect, Naruto had never said those words. He'd never admitted that anything was too much. You need help, Sasuke said. It came out flat, disbelieving. I need your eyes. His Rinnegan can track my attacks, but yours... Naruto glanced back, crimson meeting onyx. Yours can track his. Sasuke's Sharingan spun, both eyes 3 tomo each. Then the spin accelerated, deeper, further. Pain lanced through his skull. The pain of evolution, of eyes being rewritten by the pressure of what they needed to become. The Mangekyo Sharingan bloomed in Sasuke's left eye. And in the right, something more. Something beyond the Mangekyo. The Tomoe collapsed into concentric circles, Rinnegan. Sasuke's right eye burned purple with the Rinnegan's spiral pattern. He gasped. His hand flew to his face. The world cracked open through that eye. He saw dimensions, pathways, the threads of reality itself. Took you long enough, Naruto said. Shut up. That's the spirit. They moved together. Madara met them with everything. Perfect Susanoo reformed. The armored giant rising around him. Blade drawn, 100 meters of ethereal warfare. The Limbo clones deployed. 4 of them this time, invisible in their parallel dimension. Hunter Fest. The drain hit the Limbo clones through the dimensional barrier. Weakened. Wobbling, Sasuke's Rinnegan saw them. The purple eye tracked the dimensional signatures, pinpointing each clone's location in real space. There and there. 2 on the left. Fox Hunt. 2 whiplashes cracked into the Limbo dimension, guided by Sasuke's sight. 2 clones eliminated. Madara's Susanoo swung its blade. The mountain-splitting arc descended toward them both. Naruto went left. Sasuke went right. The blade cratered the earth between them, a canyon forming in its wake. Sasuke activated his own Susanoo, a purple armored warrior, smaller than Madara's but fierce and burning with new awakened power. The 2 Susanoo clashed, blades meeting in a detonation of ethereal force that turned the sky white. Naruto scaled Madara's Susanoo from the outside. His fingers found the joints, the gaps where armor met armor, the structural weaknesses inherent in any form. Fox Hunt. The energy whip cracked into the joint at the Susanoo's shoulder. Ethereal armor parted. The right arm of Madara's perfect Susanoo separated and dissolved, the blade with it. The armored giant stumbled, one-armed, and Sasuke's Susanoo drove a blade through its chest. Madara shed the Susanoo and dropped to the ground, Rinnegan blazing, hands forming seals faster than the eye could track. Tengai Shinsei, a meteorite, an actual meteorite, pulled from orbit, descending through the atmosphere with the heat of re-entry, wrapping it in fire. A stone the size of a city block, falling toward the battlefield. Are you kidding me? Sasuke said. Naruto looked up at the falling celestial object. He jumped. The distance between the ground and the meteorite was irrelevant. What mattered was the impact. Naruto met the falling stone at its midpoint, his body tiny against its mass, his fist drawn back. Banishing kill. The punch connected with the meteorite's surface. The kinetic force, Naruto's stolen strength, centuries of combat compression, the physical output of something that should exist in legends and doesn't. Transferred into the stone, the meteorite split. Down the center, a crack that became a fissure that became a full separation. 2 halves diverged, each chunk sailing past the battlefield on either side. crashing into the empty land beyond with impacts that registered on seismographs across the continent. Naruto fell back to Earth. He landed in front of Madara, cratering the ground. "Go ahead," he said, grinning through dirt and ash and the residue of a punched meteorite. "Try harder, I'll wait." Madara's Rinnegan found him. Those ancient eyes, the eyes of a man born in the Warring States era, who had fought and killed since childhood, who had orchestrated a century of conflict from beyond death itself, looked at Naruto Uzumaki and processed what they saw. "You are something else," Madara said, and his voice held awe. True awe from a man who believed he'd outgrown the emotion decades ago. "I'm hungry, mostly." Madara attacked, hand to hand. Six-path senjutsu powering his body to levels that made his previous displays look like warm-ups. He moved at the speed of light and the weight of mountains. His fists carried the force of a planet's rotation. Naruto matched him. Blow for blow. Stolen strength filling his body, feeding his speed, amplifying his power beyond what the earth should have to support. They traded punches that shattered the sound barrier. They traded kicks that created shockwaves visible from miles away. Each collision was an event, a moment of contact between two beings who existed at the absolute ceiling of physical reality. Sasuke flanked. His Rinnegan tracked Madara's movements, his Susanoo covering angles Naruto couldn't reach. When Madara's limbo clones were formed, Sasuke identified them. When Naruto needed a gap, Sasuke's Chidori created one. They fought as a unit, imperfect, mismatched, still sniping at each other between exchanges, but functional. "Stop aiming at his face," Sasuke snapped. "His Rinnegan can..." "I know what his Rinnegan can do. I'm having fun. This is a war. Wars are boring. This is interesting." Madara was being pushed back. The impossible was happening. Two teenagers, one immortal and one freshly godlike, were beating the greatest warrior in history. Each exchange wore him down. Each technique combination closed off his options. Hunter Fest drained his physical reserves. Fox Hunt breached his defenses. Sasuke's Rinnegan negated his limbo advantage. The legendary Uchiha fell to one knee. Blood ran from his mouth. His Rinnegan spun wildly, searching for an opening, finding none. Physical hunt. Naruto's hand moved. It crossed the distance between them and passed through Madara's Susanoo guard. His fingers didn't grab the heart. They grabbed the eye. The Rinnegan, the left one, the closer one, the eye came free. Madara screamed. His hand flew to the empty socket. Blood poured between his fingers. One Rinnegan remained. His power halved. "A real sin can't be erased, no matter what you do," Naruto said, holding the eye in his palm. "But the damage you've caused can be stopped, and it stops now." Sasuke's Susanoo blade descended. Madara's remaining Rinnegan tracked it, but could not counter both the blade and the approaching immortal. Fox Hunt. The energy whip cracked against Madara's right leg. The limb severed. The founder of the Uchiha clan toppled sideways, one-eyed, one-legged, his Susanoo flickering out of existence as the chakra failed. He lay on the ground. The greatest warrior the shinobi world had ever produced, brought down by two teenagers in the specific injustice of fighting something that existed beyond the rules he'd built his life around. "It ends here, Madara," Naruto said. "No," said a voice that wasn't Madara's. The ground split, white. Everything turned white. From Madara's body, from the Rinnegan, from the stolen cells, from the connection to the god tree that had been building since the infinite Tsukuyomi activated, something emerged. Something older than Madara. Older than the Sage of Six Paths. Older than chakra itself. Kaguya Otsutsuki rose from the ground like a memory the world had tried to forget. White skin, white hair that fell past her feet, a third eye in her forehead, the Rinne Sharingan, a red ripple pattern with Tomoe. She wore robes that moved like they were alive, and her face held the serenity of something that had existed before humanity invented the concept of emotion. Madara's body crumbled, used up, discarded. The vessel emptied, the ancient thing inside it having found what it needed. Kaguya's Byakugan eyes, the original ones, the template from which all others descended, swept across the 5 remaining people. Fu, wings half deployed, fists up, Kakashi. Sharingan borrowed, stance ready. Sakura, strength seal on her forehead, blazing hands glowing green. Sasuke, Rinnegan spinning, Susanoo flickering. And Naruto, red jacket stained with everything. crimson eyes looking at the goddess. The Byakugan examined him. It saw everything. His chakra, his cells, the fountain of youth burning through his body like a second sun. It saw what he was. It saw the origin, the source, the truth that no one in this world had the framework to identify. "You are wrong," Kaguya said. Her voice resonated like it was coming from the earth itself. "You should not exist." "I get that a lot," Naruto said. Kaguya raised her hand. The world changed. The battlefield vanished. Reality folded. One moment they stood on Earth, the next they were somewhere else. A dimension of lava, an endless ocean of molten rock, the heat enough to incinerate flesh on contact. The air itself burned. Naruto sank. His body entered the lava. His skin evaporated. His muscles liquefied. His bones softened and bent. He went under, fully submerged in a sea of molten stone. 2 seconds later, his hand broke the surface. He pulled himself out. Skin reformed over raw muscle. Muscle reformed over new bone. His body rebuilt itself from the feet up, the fountain of youth, recognizing the damage and answering it with a restoration that was as old as the damage itself. He stood on the lava's surface, steam pouring from his newly formed skin, naked and smoking and grinning. Cool place. Bad hospitality. Kaguya's dimension shifted. The lava vanished. Ice replaced it. Absolute zero. A world of frozen crystal and temperatures that stopped molecular movement. The air itself became a solid. Naruto froze, his entire body locked. Ice formed over his skin, through his cells, into his blood. He became a statue, a human ice sculpture standing in a dimension designed to make life impossible. The ice cracked from the inside. Warmth surged through frozen cells as the regeneration fired again, melting the ice from within, the fountain's golden energy burning through absolute zero with the indifference of something that had never been told it had limits. He burst free. Ice shards exploded outward. He stumbled, caught himself, and brushed frost from his shoulders. 2 for 2. Got anything else? Kaguya's eyes narrowed. She shifted again. Infinite gravity. A dimension where the gravitational constant had been multiplied past sanity. The force hit Naruto like a planet sitting on his shoulders. His knees buckled, his spine compressed. The weight was astronomical, designed to flatten anything, to reduce matter to a thin paste spread across the ground. Hunterfest. He drained the gravitational force. It was insane. It shouldn't have been possible. But Hunterfest operated on the physical. It stole physical strength, physical force, the actual measurable energy of things pressing against things. Gravity was force. Force was physical. And Snatch took physical things. The weight lifted. The stolen gravitational energy poured into Naruto's body, and for one instant he held the power of a dimension's physics inside his human frame. His body compressed, thickened, glowed with a density that bent light. He stood up in a gravity field that should have turned him to paste. "I've lived longer than your entire bloodline," he said, the words heavy with stolen gravity. "You're cute for trying." Kaguya's third eye blazed. Her Rinne Sharingan pulsed. She shifted dimensions again, back to normal space, the real world, the battlefield. But she was done playing with environments. She came at him directly. Her speed was beyond mortal measurement. She crossed the distance between dimensions and the space between thoughts. Her palm, the all-killing ash bone extending from her wrist, a weapon that dissolved everything it touched at the molecular level, drove toward Naruto's chest. The bone hit him. It entered his chest. The molecular dissolution began, his cells breaking apart at the atomic level, his body literally ceasing to exist at the point of contact. He grabbed her wrist. Physical hunt. His hand sank into her arm. She had chakra pathways that functioned like organs. The Otsutsuki biology was different from human, but the fundamental architecture was analogous. He found something inside her that pulsed with the same rhythm as a heart. He squeezed. Kaguya's eyes went wide. She yanked her arm free, the ash bone pulling out of Naruto's chest. The wound, the dissolution, the molecular erasure began reversing. New cells formed where old ones had been unmade, the fountain of youth rewriting the erasure the way it rewrote everything. "You can destroy my cells," Naruto said, his chest sealing over, new flesh covering the void. "They grow back. You can erase my body. It grows back. You can throw me in lava, freeze me, crush me. It all grows back." He took a step toward her. "I don't need a reason to destroy something that gets in my way. And right now?" Another step. "You're in my way." Bloodlust. Everything intensified. Naruto's crimson eyes deepened to a red so pure it looked like fresh blood. His body tensed, every muscle fiber engaging. The lazy grin sharpened into something that belonged to the version of him that had fought the Demon King and walked through purgatory and torn reality apart to reach the woman he loved. The playfulness was gone. The sing-song was gone. What remained was Ban at his peak. The fox's sin of greed. Fully committed, fully present, fully terrifying, he moved. Rush. The strikes were invisible. 20, 30, 50 impacts in the space of a single second. Each one targeted the same spots, Kaguya's chakra pathway junctions, the places where her power flowed and concentrated. Each strike was aimed to disrupt, to damage, to weaken the flow of God Tree energy through her body. Kaguya staggered. The mother of all chakra, the woman who had eaten the God Tree's fruit before humanity, the origin of everything, staggered backward under a barrage from a teenager in a red jacket. Sasuke, now! Sasuke moved, his Rinnegan blazed. His left hand carried the Yin seal, the six-path chakra that the sage had embedded in his line, dormant until now, awakened by the proximity to Kaguya's power. The seal glowed on his palm. Naruto raised his right hand. The Yang seal blazed on his palm. The other half, the complementary force, embedded in the Uzumaki line by the same ancient source. Together. One moment of genuine teamwork, uncontested, no rivalry. Just two people doing the one thing that needed doing. They slammed their palms against Kaguya's body simultaneously. The sealing array erupted from the point of contact, a mandala of light and force that wrapped around the goddess like chains made of cosmic law. Kaguya's Byakugan went wide. Her third eye blazed and died. Her body began compressing, folding, the dimensional space around her contracting. Chibaku Tensei, Sasuke said, the Rinnegan burning. The earth rose. Stone from every direction, drawn by gravitational force centered on Kaguya's body. She was pulled into the center of a growing sphere, rock and dirt and debris accumulating around her, sealing her inside a prison of stone that grew and grew and grew until it blocked the sky. The sphere rose, higher and higher, past the clouds, past the atmosphere. It hung in the sky like a second moon, gleaming in the sunlight, enormous, final. Kaguya Otsutsuki was sealed. Again, forever. The infinite Tsukuyomi released. Across the world, 1 billion people opened their eyes. They pushed free of white cocoons and looked at the sky and saw 2 moons and wondered what had happened while they slept. The dreams faded. Reality reasserted itself. The war was over, and the people who survived it would spend the rest of their lives trying to explain what they'd experienced. On the battlefield, the Alliance soldiers woke. The Kaj woke. The sealing teams and medics and foot soldiers who had been wrapped in white tendrils and peaceful dreams came to and found a world that was damaged but intact. Fu was on the ground. She'd been sealed too, caught by the Tsukuyomi after the Zero Sign's range expired, wrapped in a cocoon at the edge of the battlefield. She tore free of the white tendrils with her wings, ripping them apart with Seven-Tails chakra, stumbling to her feet in the middle of the war's aftermath. She saw him across the distance. He was standing in the crater of the final battle, red jacket scorched, hair wild, crimson eyes finding her across 1,000 meters of rubble and bodies and broken earth. He was alive. He was whole. He was the same infuriating, unkillable, grinning constant that he had been since the day she met him. She walked toward him. She didn't run this time. She walked, steady, chin up, wings spread behind her, teal light fading in the sunset. He walked toward her, hands in his pockets, unhurried, like the distance between them was something to be savored instead of crossed. They met in the middle. She looked up at him, green hair in her face, orange eyes burning, a bruise on her jaw and ash on her wings, and the look of someone who had been sealed in a dream and chosen to wake up. Told you I'd be fine, she said. You were sealed in a genjutsu for 4 hours. Still fine. He looked at her. That ancient thing behind his eyes was very close to the surface. Ban, the man from another world, the soul that had loved and lost and burned for it, looking through Naruto's crimson eyes at someone who made the burning bearable. Yeah, he said, you are. He tucked a strand of green hair out of her face. She grabbed his hand before he could move it. She held it there against her cheek, her fingers wrapped around his. Neither of them said anything. Around them, the war ended. Slowly, painfully. With the sounds of the wounded being carried and the dead being counted and the living trying to figure out what came next. But in the center of all of it, two people stood in a crater and held each other's hands and said nothing because nothing needed to be said. Kakashi found them an hour later. He looked at them, the blonde in the red jacket and the girl with green hair and wings sitting side by side in the rubble, sharing a sake bottle that Naruto had somehow produced from the ruins of a supply tent. "Where did you get sake?" Kakashi asked. "Snatch," Naruto said. "From a destroyed supply tent. Sake finds a way, Mask-san." Kakashi sat down next to them. He'd lost his borrowed Sharingan in the fight. Both eyes were his own now. Brown, tired, seeing the world through two normal lenses for the first time since he was a child. He looked older. He looked lighter. "We won," Kakashi said. "We survived," Naruto corrected. "Winning is when you get the sake." He offered the bottle. Kakashi took it, took a drink, passed it back. They sat in the rubble and drank while the world put itself back together. The months after the war moved slowly, the way time does when the urgency is gone and the rebuilding is the only thing left. Konoha rose again. Every building, every street, every wall, rebuilt with the stubbornness of a village that refused to be defined by what had destroyed it. The construction was faster this time. They'd had practice. Naruto was everywhere during the rebuilding. He carried beams that required 4 men. He moved rubble with his bare hands. He used shadow clones, the ones he'd stolen from the scroll of sealing years ago in what felt like another lifetime, to multiply the workforce by a factor that made the construction foremen weep with gratitude. He also stole lunch from every construction site he visited, because some things were sacred. Sasuke left. He announced it the way he announced everything, standing at the village gate, bag packed, one Rinnegan eye and one Sharingan eye looking at the road ahead with the expression of a man who finally understood that the road was the point. Naruto met him at the gate. The morning was gray and the air smelled like the rain that was coming. "Try to stay out of trouble," Naruto said. "Look who's talking," Sasuke said. A pause. The wind moved between them. Two teenagers, or something wearing teenagers' bodies, who had fought a goddess together and saved the world, and still couldn't figure out how to say goodbye like normal people. Sasuke looked at him. Something uncomfortable moved through the Uchiha's expression. A loosening, a softening, the kind of tectonic shift that happened once in a generation in the geography of Sasuke's face. "Thank you," Sasuke said, "for bringing me back at the valley, for being..." "Don't get sentimental. It's embarrassing." "I'm trying to." Sasuke, the grin, warm this time, as warm as it got, as warm as anything Ban had ever aimed at a person who mattered to him. "I know." The Uchiha held his gaze. He nodded, once. The kind of nod that carried the weight of everything he couldn't say and chose to pack into a single motion. He walked. The road opened ahead of him, and he walked into it, and the gate framed his departure like a painting that Naruto would remember for a long time. He'd come back. They both knew it. Gaara visited for the Reconstruction Summit. The Kazakage of the Sand, youngest leader in his village's history. The boy who'd been a weapon and a monster and a lonely thing screaming at the sky. Now a man who governed with the steadiness of someone who'd found his handful of people and held onto them with both hands. He found Naruto on a rooftop. The same rooftop. Always the same rooftop. "You look happy," Gaara said. "I look the same as always." "That's what I said." Naruto looked at him. The teal eyes had changed. The raccoon circles were still there. Shukaku's mark permanent, a reminder of what had lived inside him. But the violence was gone from those eyes. The hunger for blood that had driven him since childhood had been replaced by something that looked a lot like peace. "You found your handful," Naruto said. Gaara nodded once. "Your advice was surprisingly useful. Don't spread that around. I have a reputation." They sat together for a while. Two Jinchuriki, former and current, on a rooftop, watching the sun set over a village that was being rebuilt. The silence between them was comfortable in a way that silence rarely was for either of them. "The sand still reacts to you," Gaara said. "I noticed. Your gourd keeps twitching." "Shukaku remembers you, he says." Gaara paused. "He says you are an abomination against the natural order and he never wants to see you again." "Tell him I miss him too." Gaara's mouth twitched. It was the Gaara equivalent of a belly laugh. Kakashi became the 6th Hokage. He accepted the hat with the weary resignation of a man who had run out of excuses. He moved into the office, arranged his books, set up his desk, and sat down to read in peace. 15 minutes later, the book vanished from his hand. He looked up. The window was open. A red jacket disappeared over the rooftop. "Naruto! Snatch! Give it back! Never!" The cycle continued. It would always continue until the end of time. Or at least until Kakashi stopped buying books, which would happen at roughly the same juncture. Fu stayed in Konoha. The diplomatic protection status Tsunade had granted became permanent under Kakashi's administration. Fu was officially classified as an allied foreign asset, a designation that meant very little in practical terms, because she'd already woven herself into the fabric of the village with the thoroughness of someone who'd been collecting friends since the day she arrived and wasn't planning to stop. She trained with Sakura at the hospital and learned basic medical techniques, which she applied with more enthusiasm than precision. She sparred with Tenten and discovered a shared love of weapons that resulted in an armory's worth of custom gear. She sat with Hinata at tea shops and talked about everything and nothing, and Hinata found herself laughing more in Fu's presence than she had in years. And she sat on the rooftop. Their rooftop, the one nobody else used, 4 stories higher than the building it was on, accessible only by chakra walking or wings or the specific bloody-mindedness of a certain blonde who treated gravity as a suggestion. They were there the night everything settled. The reconstruction was done. The last beam placed, the last wall painted. Konoha hummed below them with the sound of a village that was, for the first time in a very long time, at peace. Lights in windows, the smell of cooking and sake and fresh wood, children playing in streets that had been rubble 3 months ago. Fu was lying on her back, wings deployed and folded under her like a blanket of teal light. Her eyes were closed, her green hair spread across the rooftop tiles. She was humming, something tuneless, something happy. Naruto sat beside her, one knee up, looking at the sky. Stars everywhere. More than a city usually allowed you, but the surrounding forests had been thinned by the war and the light pollution was minimal. What was her name? Fu asked. She'd been waiting to ask this for 2 years. He was still. Elaine, he said. She was important. She was everything. Fu nodded. She kept her eyes closed. Her voice was steady, the steadiness of someone who had decided to ask the hard question and would see it through no matter where it went. "I'm here and she's somewhere else," Fu said. "No." "Is that okay?" He looked down at her. The moonlight caught her green hair, her closed eyes, the wings spread beneath her. She was warm and alive and present, and she smelled like summer rain and beetle chakra and the specific chaos of a person who chose joy in spite of everything. He looked at her for a long time. "I spent 1,000 years looking for something I lost," he said. "And I don't think I was supposed to find it again. I think I was supposed to stop looking." She opened her eyes. Orange met crimson. The moon hung between them like a witness. "So stop," she said. He was silent. That vast ancient thing behind his eyes, the weight he'd carried since the fountain, since Elaine, since the day he first died and came back and realized he would keep coming back forever, settled. Like something that had been searching finally set down a burden it had carried for lifetimes. "Yeah," he said. "Okay." He lay back, beside her, looking at the same sky. Their hands were close on the rooftop tiles. Then her hand found his anyway, the same way it always did, without asking permission, like it belonged there. He let her take it. He let her hold it. He watched the stars through crimson eyes that had watched stars from 1,000 different skies across 2 different worlds. And he thought that these particular stars, from this particular rooftop, with this particular hand in his, were the best ones he'd seen. Below them, Konoha breathed. The village that had stabbed a 6-year-old through the heart and watched him pull the blade out laughing. The village that had feared him, then watched him, then fought beside him, and had finally arrived at the simple conclusion that the undead fox was theirs, complicated and terrifying and impossible and theirs. A child ran through the streets below, wearing a toy red jacket. Another child chased her, yelling about being the undead fox. A woman on a balcony shook her head and smiled. In the Hokage Tower, Kakashi found a note on his desk. "Stole your reserve sake. It was the good stuff. Thanks, Mask-san." And in the hospital, Sakura healed a genin who broken his arm trying to copy the move where Naruto punched a meteorite in half. The kid would be fine. She told him to stop watching war footage. In the sand village, Gaara stood on his Kazekage tower and felt the wind and thought about a boy who'd sat next to him in the dirt and told him to find his handful. He'd found them. He held them loosely, the way you hold something precious, tight enough to keep, loose enough to let it breathe. Somewhere on a road between countries, Sasuke walked with his one Rinnegan eye, taking in the world he'd helped save. He had a long way to go. He had time. He had something he hadn't expected to have, a reason to come back to the place he'd left. And on the rooftop, in the moonlight, with the village below and the stars above and a green-haired girl's hand in his, Naruto Uzumaki closed his crimson eyes. He thought about Ban, the name from another world, the name from another life, the name a girl had said once in her sleep without knowing it would break him open. He thought about Elaine. Golden hair, wings like light, a smile that could make a sinner want to be better. She existed in a place he couldn't reach from here, and maybe she existed in the girl beside him too, the same soul refracted through a different life, choosing joy again in spite of everything. He'd never know for sure. It was enough to wonder. He thought about the Boar Hat, a tavern from 1,000 years ago, full of people who were broken and brilliant, and his. Captain's voice, Diane's laugh, King's complaints, Merlin's silence, Ban's place at the bar, a stolen ale in one hand and a stolen heart in the other. He thought about the fact that somewhere in every world there was a table. And at that table, there were people who mattered. And the definition of home was just the place where that table sat. He'd found his table. He grinned, soft, real, the grin from before 1,000 years of fighting. The one that a girl with golden hair once said looked like sunrise. A real sin, he thought, can't be erased. Good thing this isn't a sin. This is something else. Fool's wings rustled. Her thumb traced circles on the back of his hand. She murmured something. His name, the real one, the one she shouldn't know but had found anyway, and shifted closer. He let her. The sky turned above them, slow and immense and patient. The stars moved in their ancient patterns, the same patterns they'd traced over every civilization that had ever risen and fallen and risen again. Somewhere in those patterns, if you knew where to look, you might see the shape of a fox grinning. The night deepened. The village slept. The girl with green hair breathed beside him, alive and fierce and here, and the boy with crimson eyes held her hand and let the 1,000 years finally rest. He slept. For the first time in all his lives, he dreamed of nothing, and it was perfect.
And that's the story of the most terrifying, most unbothered, most unkillable version of Naruto Uzumaki ever written. If this hit different, you already know what to do. Like, subscribe, and drop in the comments, what would you do if this man showed up on your team? See you in the next one.